on the western coast of Florida, where the serenity of vacationing on a yacht will be shattered today with the sound of racing engines. Who said you can't teach an old dog new tricks?
85,756 lefts. Now our first right.
Today in St. Petersburg, the authorities turn a blind eye as street racing goes legal.
Is that downshifting, I hear?
Downshifting on a concrete canyon surrounded by some of the most picturesque scenery anywhere in the world.
City streets, baby.
Yes, but for some, it's been a weekend filled with detours and untimely shortcuts. 2 weeks ago in Phoenix, Sam Hornish worked a late race restart to perfection, while Dario Franchitti found nothing but frustration. The question today, can points leader Hornish handle a street fight in St. Pete?
My good side and my other good side.
Lots of fun curves.
The streets of St. Pete. Strap in.
The Indy Grand Prix of St. Petersburg is next. After 9 seasons and 105 oval races, today the IndyCar Series makes history with an event on a 1.8-mile, 14-turn temporary street circuit. Live from St. Petersburg, Florida, it's the Indy St. Petersburg Grand Prix. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Lee alongside Larry Rice. And Larry, for over 20 years, this Bayside city has hosted a number of motorsports events. But this has been a much-anticipated race for the IndyCar Series.
It certainly has. This is the first of 3 road races that we're going to see this summer by the IndyCar Series. A lot of these guys have a lot of experience on road courses, but there's a few that have absolutely no experience. Sam Hornish is one of those guys with no experience, but he did very well, ended up in the top 6.
Well, we'll be joining the public address system momentarily for the national anthem presented by Winona Judd, who just happens to be the sister of Ashley Judd and the brother-in-law, or the sister-in-law of Dario Franchitti, who in fact had been the quickest in the single car qualifying yesterday. A very unique qualifying format that we'll get into a bit later.
Yeah, Franchitti has been quick all weekend long. He looked to be the favorite for the pole. He actually had the fastest single lap of the day yesterday, but when it came time to go out there with the 6 guys on the racetrack all at one time, he could not hang on to that pole position. But he's been very fast and very aggressive, both last time we ran and here on this road course.
Well, once again, let's join the public address system and our national anthem with country music star Winona Judd.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the
Winona Judd with the national anthem, the flyover from the 90th Flying Training Wing out of Shepherd Air Force Base in Wichita Falls, Texas. And the drivers have been ordered to their cars. So the first time in the history of the Indy Racing League, the IndyCar Series, We are going to be turning right and left, upshifting, downshifting, and in a much anticipated race in the streets of St. Petersburg, the Grand Prix of St. Pete. Live coverage with a great overview there of Yacht Harbor. That's Tampa Bay on the western coast of the state of Florida. Our second race in Florida. Second at the top, the first 3 of the year.
And of course, the back straightaway of this racetrack goes right along the harbor and right out to the water. So these guys,
shore drive.
They'd be running right down the side of that. Those yachts all have a great view. There you can see that little kink back there. That's turn. That's just a kink going down into turn number 10. That's turn number 10 right at the bottom of your screen.
Left-hander.
Right. So there's, you see, a baseball field right out there in the middle of the race course. So it is an airport and a street course combined. The front straightaway is an airport, concrete. The rest of it is all basically streets, city streets. With
that will present a problem when they go from the asphalt to the concrete, because that runway is concrete. We saw a lot of guys over the weekend get very loose there and almost collect the wall on the outside of that last corner. Live coverage. Gary Lee, Larry Rice, first time ever with the Indy Racing League on a road circuit. It's a temporary circuit here in St. Petersburg, Florida, and a grand crowd on hand today. You saw the grandstands totally filled. We had a good crowd here on Friday for practice and for qualifying yesterday.
Yeah, we certainly did. It really looks like it's going to be one of the premier events on the Indy Racing League circuit because of all the people that are here already.
They timed all the practice laps, and then the fastest driver, which was Castro Neves, then got to elect who went first in single car qualifying. He said he'd go last, and after single car qualifying, Dario Franchitti here on the left was quickest. There's Castro Neves in the middle. On the right is Michael Andretti. This is before they went out. In the top 6 drivers went out and qualified in one session together. Very unique qualifying session. And Brian Herta there will have the pole position. His second straight pole. He won at Phoenix a couple of weeks ago, but he was the fastest in that last 6-car session.
Yes, he actually was 4th in the single lap qualifying, but when they went out all together, he turned in the quickest lap of anybody. He went from 4th into 1st, and he did it with very little fuel. He almost ran out on the last lap.
Yeah, every corner I was hung out. I mean, it was maximum attack, and that's why I like it. That's the way I want to drive, and it paid off today. I was mad at myself after the single car lap because I made a couple of mistakes, and I felt like if I could string my lap together, I could pick up a bit of time, and I mean more time than I thought I could pick up. Though it was awesome.
Let's take a look at this racetrack. Going down the long front straightaway into turn number 1. That's where the airport is. It's all concrete. You've got to be very patient. You've got to get in there. You've got to have a good corner because it's the best place to pass, but it's also the best place to crash if you're not careful. Through turns 3 and 4, then onto the back part of the race course. Long back straightaway going into this very tricky part of the course. 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All these corners all kind of together. A typical street course. You have to be careful not to clip one of the walls because it is rough and it is narrow back in this part of the race course. So you have to use all your patience back here not to run into something or to somebody while they're under braking. Then you go down the back long straightaway into turns 11 and 12. 11 and 12 are the 2 fastest corners on this race course, and then you go into 13 and 14. This is slippery, this is tricky, but you've got to get through here. If you don't get through this corner and back onto this front straightaway well, you're going to get blown away going back out down into turn number 1.
These drivers all have one word that they use for this layout. It's fun.
Yes, it is fun. 1.8 miles, 14 corners. Boy, it is a fun race course, but you have to have your act together to run well here.
We want to take one lap around the track. Taped yesterday, Dario Franchitti, who had been fast in that one lap qualifying effort. And take it, Larry.
There you go with Dario Franchitti down into turn number 1, downshifting hard on the brakes. You can see he's smoking the tires a little bit. This corner again, it's a pretty tight corner and you have to be careful. You can see there's grass out there on the right-hand side, and there's the pit exit coming back on. So coming off at turn number 2, you got to be aware of people coming out of the pits. Then you go down this back straightaway here. It's got this little kink in it, but this is a very fast part of the race course. Then you go into 4, 5, 6, and 7. This is the street course part, the real traditional part where it's very tight, you have to be cautious. There are a lot of walls on both sides. It's kind of narrow, and it's a little bit slippery, so you got to be careful going through this part of the race course. But after you get through this, you're going down into this long back straightaway with a kink into it, and then you get into turns 11 and 12. This is the 2 fastest corners on the racetrack. There was the kink. Then you go down in here, you make through turn number 10, and then you go down along the Bay Shore or along the road again towards the ocean. This is the fastest 2 corners. This is corner 11 and corner 12. Then you go into 13 and 14. Once you get into here, it's slippery, it's tricky, but you've got to get off of here. This is the most important part of the race course. Right there you can see how slippery it is when you get back on the concrete, but you've got to run down here very well because it's all about braking getting into turn number 1.
And you can see the glare coming off that concrete as they go down that long straightaway, which is part of the Albert Whited Airport here in St. Petersburg. We had a number of altercations over the weekend.
He certainly did. Here you can see coming off the corner, a little touch of the wall right there. And you have to be so careful. That's, again, right off onto that concrete off of turn number 14. This is Darren Manning, who had the biggest shunt of all the shunts we had earlier, as he had to bring his backup car after running into the tire barriers right there. This is Sam Hornish, who you can see ran through the little grass and little leaves there, got a little loose, and just got sideways. Luckily, nobody ran into him. Here's Scott Dixon on his qualifying lap. He came off, got a little close to the tire barriers, bapped them a little bit, kept on going. He didn't bend anything, but that's just part of road racing. You have to be a little careful. Here's this morning. This is A.J. Foyt this morning. He just didn't make it through that corner, ran into the tire barrier. He did get it repaired, and he will run here today.
And did you notice the color change on that car? It's back to the Foyt Coyote Orange that he drove to Victory Lane at Indianapolis. Actually, he started out the weekend using the number 48, switched back to 14, and his grandson will start at the back of the pack this afternoon. In fact, it was curious when we came down here this weekend. We've been stating all along that AJ the Fourth would not race on the road courses, as the American flag is brought in by a paratrooper, but he decided for some reason to let the kid test at Texas World Speedway, and he's here this weekend.
Well, he thought the testing went well enough that they would come down here and give it a try. Obviously, they've had their share of problems, but a lot of people have had their share of problems. We've had a lot of guys who've actually crashed here this weekend, and Manning, Carpentier, Castroneves, Hornish, Ashikawa, all these guys.
But even though they come from road racing, they've gone to a different discipline for a number of seasons. With the ovals, they have to knock the rust off. They've had a chance to test at Homestead. Then in case of the Penske drivers, they went to Sebring and tested. Young AJ's been at Texas World. They're simply knocking the rust off of what they did years ago.
That's exactly right. So it's going to take them a little while, but I think most of them are ready for this race.
Well, the drivers are tucked away, ready for the start. The command will come shortly as we present live coverage of the first ever IndyCar Series road race, and the Grand Marshals are Tony and Laura George, and they'll be giving the command to start the engines, one of the luxury yachts out there. In fact, Roger Penske has his yacht out there in the harbor.
Yeah, there's a couple of really huge ones. I think Roger Penske's is the largest of the bunch, but there are several of them that are really, really large.
Well, the drivers have been sent to the cars. They're being strapped on board. One driver that is not here participating this weekend is Paul Dana. He driving for Hemmelgarn Racing. Speaking of Hemmelgarn Racing, Hemmelgarn won the 500, the Indy 500 back in 1996 with Buddy Lazier. It was just announced that Buddy will have a ride for this year's 500. It'll be a third car for the as a teammate to Schechter and Inge on the Panther team.
Yeah, it should be good. It will be good to see him back in a race car again. Let's just take a quick look at the race analysis. 14 corners, 1.8 miles, 2.9 kilometers. It's a temporary course, of course. 27 shifts per lap. 282 kilometers an hour is the top speed. Minimum speed about 72 kilometers. The pit window is going to be between 32 and 38 laps. So you're going to see at least 2, probably 3 or 4 pit stops before this thing goes.
We understand that although Laura is also a co-Grand Marshal this weekend, Tony alone will be doing Gentlemen Start Your Engines. That translation from kilometers back to miles per hour on the top speed, 175 along Bayshore, and then 34 miles an hour in some of the tight corners. So some very good speed. The overall average was 103 miles an hour on this road course, which is actually pretty quick for a temporary course.
That's a very quick time. I think most of these guys did a great job adapting to this. They did do some testing. Castroneves he's run a lot of races on this type of race course. Hornish has never run IndyCar on any kind of a road course, so I think what he did was pretty phenomenal.
Well, Hornish finished 6th in qualifying yesterday. We'll be joining the public address system momentarily for the command to start the engines from Tony George. And once again, let's go to the public address system. Here's our live coverage continues from the St. Pete Grand Prix.
And now, race fans, will you please welcome Tony George for the most famous words in motorsports.
IndyCar Series drivers, start your engines.
Well, I think the PA sound system went down there. We caught the tail end of it, but obviously they know what they're supposed to do at that time. So one by one, these cars jump to life. There is some concern for that first turn. They've been warned about that in the drivers' meeting. As a very, very tight right-hander. As they come off turn 2 through turn 2 and swing out to the outside, that's the pit exit. That is a problem area as well.
It will be later in the race. Turn 1 is a concern. They had a race here earlier today, the Infinity Pro Series, and there was a crash going into turn 1. A couple of cars ran over each other, put about 3 cars out of that race. They don't want these guys doing that. They want them to be careful going into turn 1. They want them to make sure they get in line, or if they don't get in line, they don't squeeze somebody out and put them in the wall.
Well, of course, this race being promoted in part by Michael Andretti. He is part of a promotional team that put this program together, along with Barry Green, a former IndyCar owner.
There you see the cars all taking off. There's what you're talking about, Gary. Coming out of the turn, they're going through turn number 2. They'll be swinging out to the outside, so you have to be careful if somebody's exiting the pits.
Second straight race, Brian Herta on the pole in car number 7 outside Elio Castroneves, who was quick through the 2 practice sessions on Friday afternoon. The second row on the inside, it is Tony Kanaan, last year's champion, and outside Dario Franchitti, who was fast in the single car qualifying yesterday, but has to start outside the second row. The third row, the rookie Thomas Inge, and outside Sam Hornish, who won the last outing, leads the point standings. He starts outside row 3. On the fourth row, on the inside, it's Kusuke Matsura, and outside Thomas Schechter, who won the pole season opening event down here in Homestead, Florida. Dan Weldon, who won that first event at Homestead, starts inside row 5 alongside the rookie Ryan Briscoe in number 33. Scott Dixon, the champion a couple of years ago, will start inside row 6 outside Vito Mira in car number 17 for the Ray Hall Letterman organization. In the 7th row, it's Alex Barron and his teammate, Patrick Carpentier. So the Cheever Racing team will share a row. In row 8, Danica Patrick, the young lady, the rookie, will start inside Darren Manning. Car number 10. The 9th row, Buddy Rice on the inside. Roger Yasukawa will start outside in car number 24. In the 10th row, near the back of the pack, on the inside, it's Ed Carpenter, his first ever road race. Former 2-time Trans Am champion Scott Sharp. A.J. Foyt IV, after that shunt this morning in practice, will start at the back of the pack, starting his first ever road race. It'll be a grand learning experience for these guys.
Well, it certainly will be. I mean, a lot of them have a lot of experience. Yellow flag is still out. They're going to take them one more lap around before they get going.
Well, here are the guys with the Champ Car Series experience. All these guys have road race experience. Dario Franchitti, in fact, on his resume, has 8 victories on temporary road circuits. Watch for him to be competitive this afternoon.
Yeah, and all of these guys have run on this type of course or on this course. They did run a couple of races here early in the 2003 and 2002, I think. I'm not sure the racetrack is exactly like it is today.
Beautiful day here for the race. The temperature at 20 degrees Celsius, light winds. The forecast, well, look above your head. That's what we're going to have all afternoon. Nice and sunny, pleasant, mild. What a great, great location for a temporary road course. And we're going to have at least one more lap as you ride along with Schechter. Thomas Schechter starting back in the 8th position. Yeah, as we mentioned, he'll have another teammate during the month of May in Buddy Lazier, and there is Scott Dixon on board. He'll be starting back in 11th. This is that tight section, turns 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 through the city streets. You can see some of the skyscrapers and hotels in the background. Now they come out onto Bayshore Boulevard. Tony Kanaan starting back in 3rd position. You can see the water off to the left. Bayshore has a slight kink here to the left. This is a flat-out turn, though. It's about 63 feet wide through here. The kink is flat out. That will take them down to this left-hand turn 10. There's Ryan Briscoe starting back in the 10th position, one of the rookies. You see the yachts off to the left in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
There's Alex Barron.
Starting at 13. Briscoe had to get a backup car out because he had a crash earlier on Saturday, and so he had to get his backup car out. He'd be running that here today.
And they go into turn 10. And that takes them to the first the two fastest turns on the racetrack, and you can see the concrete. This is the runway, and there is the furl flag as the fireworks going off. There's the furl flag. One more lap before we turn them loose. This is a 100-lap event.
A lot of fireworks, a lot of celebration here. I think everybody, a lot of the competitors are very, very happy to be back on the road course for the first time in several years. Not that they don't like the ovals, but they certainly do like the road courses as well. It's going to be interesting because a lot of these guys, you know, it's a different mentality to run a road course. An oval is everything precise. You can't make any kind of mistakes. Everything you do, you touch anything, you're going to be in big trouble. On a road course, it's it's more like a street fight. You can touch, you can kind of slide around a little bit, you can do things on a road course you cannot get away with on an oval. And it's you might put you out of the race, but on an oval it can do more than that. It can actually hurt you real bad.
There's not a lot of room for air when you're running side by side. Now on a temporary course, there's no room for air on one of these because you see what's on either side of the racetrack. When we get to Watkins Glen, we get to the other permanent courses, there's some grass and runoff areas you can get in trouble and not tear your car up.
And this kind of racing is much more physical. The oval track is much more mentally demanding, I think, in a lot of ways, but this is very much more physically demanding. You're always turning, you're always shifting, you're always working, and if you're not in great shape, if you're not in excellent shape, you're going to be worn out by the time this race is over.
Well, 27 shifts per lap. They'll start to pair up side by side behind the pace vehicle driven by Johnny Rutherford, the three-time Indianapolis 500 champion. Now again through 10, 11, 12, into that turn 14. This will be the last turn before Johnny pulls off the racetrack and turns the field over to Brian Herta. His second straight pole position. There goes John. He pulls off.
Oh, Herta better get. Oh,
he better get up there.
Yeah, he did the smart thing. He kind of hung back.
Oh, look at that. Then he goes on by.
Yeah, then he went on by while Castroneves had to get out of the throttle. Look at this, though.
Honorary starter is the mayor.
They did get through there, two abreast. Herta did maintain the lead. Kanaan stuck by for third, though. Or for second, I mean. Kanaan got
Rick Baker, the mayor of St. Petersburg, the honorary starter. Kanaan goes to second position.
Ooh, and there went Schechter by Hornish. He made a kind of a move in there, turn 3, and nobody thought it was. I didn't think they were going to be able to pass in that area, but he sure did right then.
Well, Schechter's a street fighter. Although we've seen him do battle on the ovals, he loves the road racing, and this is kind of a race where you got to stick your nose and you got to take some chances.
Well, he certainly,
but not quite this early in the race.
Yeah, he certainly did right there. And of course, we said Hornish does not have a lot of experience on this type of road course, so he was probably taking it very easy, especially here on the first lap.
Well, Hornish leads the points by virtue of his win 2 weeks ago. Weldon now some 6 points back in second. Tony Kanaan is third in the points. Then Castroneves and Manning, the third race of the 16-race schedule this season, which will include 3 of these road races. This is the only temporary circuit. We have 2 permanent facilities we'll be attending in Infineon out in California and Watkins Glen in New York.
And so far, there's about 5 of them stacked up right behind Herta. And it looks like Kanaan is faster, but hasn't found an opportunity yet to make the pass. Franchitti back there looks to be very quick, too, as he looks like he's trying to get around Castroneves.
Well, this is the type of circuit that you can be faster than the guy in front of you, but you simply can't find a way by.
Well, and that's one of the things about road racing. You've got to be patient. You have to be fast. You have to be good. But you've got to be a little bit patient, too, because down there in that area of the racetrack, 4, 5, 6, and 7, there's no way you're going to pass anybody in there. So you might as well just start thinking about what you're going to do when you get back out on that front straightaway and how you're going to get through turns 13 and 14.
There's a good shot of the rookie Thomas Inge, who's back there in 5th position. You go back up in front now as they go back onto the concrete, from the asphalt to the concrete onto that runway of the airport down this long straightaway.
Thomas Inge doing a nice job. He's hanging right in there with all the big guys. He's one of the top 5, running in 5th and running right with those guys.
Well, as you see, Herta continues to lead now after 2 laps. Kanaan 2nd, Castroneves 3rd. And these drivers are quick to explain to the race fan, or the passing race fan, you're not going to see that side-by-side racing in this type of competition.
No, it is a different kind of racing. It's completely different. You're not going to see the side-by-side every lap, but you're going to see a lot of tacticians, a lot of you got to really be smart, especially with your pit stops. Boy, if you can get an advantage on a pit stop, boy, it makes all the difference in the world. Track position means everything. That's why qualifying is so important here.
Well, of course, in road racing, we have what we call localized yellows. Of course, this is the international broadcast. We're going into countries where Formula One is very, very big. Everybody knows about localized yellows. Brian Barnhart said today in the drivers' meeting he's going to be very, very liberal with full track yellows. Does not want to take a risk of going to a localized yellow and these guys that haven't raced for a while on the road course getting jammed up in the problem. So we may see some full course yellows that would normally not be a full course yellow.
Well, I think he's made that pretty clear to the drivers that that's what he's going to do, especially here on this very first effort on the road courses. So far, though, it looks like these drivers have handled themselves very, very well, as Kanaan once again looks to the inside right there in a portion of the racetrack that I didn't think was going to be conducive to passing. But boy, he's made that look 2 or 3 different times, but it's never been up far enough to make the pass.
Go back on board with Kanaan through that the street section before you go out on Bayshore Boulevard. This is the kink, the left-hand kink right there, and that takes you down this left-hand turn 10. There's the turn 10, straight away to turn 11.
They get clear down into 2nd gear, and then they get clear up into 6th before they get clear down there. They're almost straight out there now. Then they have to downshift again. Down into 2nd gear here.
Left-hander, there's the pavement change. Car wants to get loose right there and almost collect that outside retaining wall. The pit area is off to your right. Long straight away to this tight right-hand first turn. Now watch as you go into turn 2, as you'll see the exit to the pit lane right there. That will become an issue when we start making pit stops, especially under green. If we have a full course yellow, that won't be a big issue.
Yeah, Kanaan really, this is the fastest part of the racetrack for Kanaan. He really gets into this portion very well. He outbreaks everybody getting into that one section right there.
Well, Herta has led all 4 laps from the pole position. Kanaan is 2nd, Castroneves 3rd, Franchitti is 4th, then Inge. Schechter is 5th, make that 6th. Weldon now is 7th, 8th is Hornish, 9th is Dixon, 10th is Masura. As we go through the rest of the field, Mira is 11th, Briscoe is 12th, then Compartier, Barron, Danica Patrick is 15th, then Manning, Rice, Sharp, Yasukawa, Carpenter, and Foyt. And I imagine AJ has told his grandson, just keep your nose clean and get some laps in. Stay out of trouble, stay out of the way.
Yeah, and you can see right there that Schechter is actually, he started out ways behind that top 5, and he's actually caught those guys. So the top 6 now running very close to each other.
And you see a huge crowd on hand here, by far the best crowd we've seen in a long time for an IndyCar Series event. There's the exit from the pit lane as they go through turns 2 and 3, long straightaway.
See the ball field there in the middle. So this
go along First Avenue down to 2nd Avenue to make that right-hand turn.
That was the very tight portion of the course, where they have about 4 or 5 corners all tied together, very short, very tight corners. A lot of braking in that area.
Right now, I would think this early in the race, what's the strategy? Just keep your nose clean, not make any daring moves, not force the issue.
Well,
wait for the guy in front of you to make a mistake.
A lot of these guys right now are just trying to figure out exactly what they can do, what's going to happen. As the more rubber that gets down, as the weekend goes on, and as this race goes on, there's going to get to be more grip. So they're trying to figure out where they can make their move, when they can make their move, and how they can make the move. We've seen Kanaan 2 or 3 times, as he does right there, get down to the inside, think about trying to outbrake somebody, getting into turn number 3. Hasn't done it yet, but he's thought about it 2 or 3 different times. Castroneves is back there just kind of going to school. Castroneves and Franchitti have been the 2 fastest guys all weekend long, and they're now running in 3rd and 4th, just kind of going to school on the guys in front of them.
So the top 5 right nose to tail on the racetrack. Herta, Kanaan, Kastranevich, Franchitti, and Ingy. And they've been running like that over the entire 6 laps of this event so far. A good ride for that guy back in 5th position, the rookie, or the Panther Racing Organization, Thomas Ingy.
It is a good ride. He's actually doing an excellent job. He's got a lot of road race experience, but not in these kind of cars. These are different. No matter what you drive, there's still a little bit of a quirk, a little bit of difference in everything that you run. And Ingy has picked up very well on what's happening with these Indy cars. And like I said, he's running right there with the tall dogs.
And he's a driver from the Czech Republic. You don't find many drivers from that part of the world, the Czech Republic. There's a gap between Ingy back to Scheckter in 6th position. So the top 5 are right together on the racetrack, and a slight gap back to that yellow number 4 Pennzoil car of Thomas Scheckter.
Right along with Franchitti. Franchitti, I think last week at Phoenix, a couple weeks ago at Phoenix, proved to me that he is really one of the great guys to watch. Very, very aggressive. Here we take another look at the start of the race. Kastranevich went to the outside trying to get in the lead and push the front end right there. He lost that one spot by just being a little overly aggressive. Lucky he didn't push on out and get into the tires. But
he tried to get the lead, but he started in 2nd position, went for the lead, and ended up back in 3rd.
He went for it. I mean, he knew track position is everything. He thought the first corner was the best time to get that lead, to get out in front. He went to the outside, didn't make it work, and had to fall back in 3rd position when Kanaan went around it.
You see a quick glance there at the gap between 5th and 6th. As you look back at the top of your screen, there is Ingy, and then well behind his, the number 4 car coming through. We didn't have it. Number 4 car, the yellow car of Scheckter. There's Tony Kanaan still in 2nd position. Kastranevich 3rd, Franchitti, and Ingy.
The first 5 cars really close.
And there's a glance back to Scheckter. Live coverage and status quo still as they run in the top 5 positions. Herta, Kanaan, Kastranevich, Franchitti, and Ingy. 8 of 100 laps in the book, working on lap 9. And the only real action we had was right at the very beginning when Kastranevich made that move to the high side.
Yeah, it's that Sam Hornish we're looking at right there, and he's fallen back just a little bit. He's back in 8th spot, but still, for somebody who he really hadn't run a road course at all other than in go-karts. He's done some testing. Penske, of course, tests extensively, but still, for him to come out here and run in front of a lot of drivers who have a lot more experience on this type of course, I think is great. He's ahead of Dixon, Mira, Briscoe, Carpentier, all those, and Barron. All those guys have a lot of road racing experience, and a lot of it very recently, quite honestly. He did do one thing though that was kind of amazing. Went out and bought a simulator, a road racing simulator, and he spent hours and hours and hours sitting in his basement running that road racing simulator last winter. Obviously something worked because he's doing a fine job.
Well, he got married last year, and I think his wife anticipated a lot more time with her husband over the winter months. He was parked in front of a simulator road racing.
Well, but it all pays off. If you want something bad enough, you've got to pay the price. Everything's not fun and games in this kind of sport. You've got to be in good shape. You've got to do your homework, and if it takes sitting in a simulator or testing, then that's what you've got to go do.
These guys are hard to impress, but after qualifying yesterday, a number of the real road race veterans came up to congratulate Sam on how well he did, because it was a pleasant surprise.
Well, and I think they were all surprised as well as impressed, because I don't think anybody, including me, expected him to be in the top 6, and
he was quick in the top 5-6 all weekend in practice.
Yes, he was. And like I said, they've tested some, but they'd never run this course before. And street courses are different than regular purpose-built road courses, because all these streets, they're slanted. They're crown in the middle, they're slanted out on the end. So when you go over that crown, it's kind of loosens the car up. You want to slide towards the wall.
Well, plus you have pavement changes. You've got the inside curbing. And if you make a mistake, there's that concrete. You're in a concrete canyon. It's not like as you call a purpose-built racetrack where you got room to slide off through the grass.
And we said that you don't have to be as precise. But on the other hand, if you do make a mistake and clip a tire wall or something, you're going to be in big trouble, because there are walls all the way around you. It's very narrow.
It looks like Scheckter is closing in on that 5th place position. His teammate Ingy.
Well, the Chevrolets we've talked about before, are quite a surprise to me. I didn't think they would be as strong this year as they have been, but they've done a lot more homework than I think anybody in this series thought they did over the winter. I think they thought since it was going to be their last season in IndyCar, they were just going to kind of coast, take whatever they could get. But obviously, not only the Panther Racing team, but Chevrolet have done their homework.
Well, we mentioned the Panther Racing team with a third driver for the month of May in the Indianapolis 500. And Buddy Lazier, that will have sponsorship from Jonathan Bird's Cafeteria. Now, if you followed this type of racing for a number of years, Jonathan Bird was a longtime race car sponsor, then a racing team owner, owns the largest cafeteria in the States, in America. But he suffered a debilitating stroke last September. Is in a rehabilitation center south of Indianapolis. And as a tribute to him, his sons, Jonathan Jr. and David, put this sponsorship program together to bring Lazier back to the Speedway to honor their father.
There is Danica Patrick. She's running back in 15th spot right now, but her goal was to come in here, run nice and clean, be around at the finish. That was what she said. She's run some pretty quick laps, it looks like.
Pretty consistent, too.
Yeah. So, yeah, she's, she knows she's in a different situation now. She's in a situation that she has to succeed in. She's in the spotlight all the time.
She felt a little more pressure this weekend because this is her background, and people expect her to do better on a road course than an oval right now.
Well, she's outrunning Buddy Rice, so she's outrunning one of her teammates.
Well, Manning has a lot of experience.
Right.
Sharp is a two-time Trans Am champion, and Sharp's back in 18th. Rice is 17th. Manning is 15th, and Foyt who's off? Foyt is off with. Is that Castroneves?
Oh boy, that's Elio Castroneves. Foyt and Elio Castroneves got together going into turn number 13. What a tough break for Castroneves. Of course, Foyt, one of the slower cars on the racetrack, does not have a lot of experience. He's still under power, but Castroneves is just sitting out there in the middle of the racetrack. What a tough break for Castroneves.
You can see the damage on the right side of that race car, and so he is unbuckling.
He's unbuckling, out. Getting out. He's going to call it a day. Yellow will be coming out because Foyt's back up on the racetrack. So what a tough break. Let's see if we can see exactly what happened. Castroneves got to the inside of Foyt.
Foyt didn't give him room.
And Foyt just didn't give him room. Didn't see him coming and went down and hit the thing. You know, he should have known they were there because a couple of cars had already been past him. He should have known that all the fast guys were coming. And he just did not give enough room. He moved out some, but he didn't move out far enough to give Castroneves the room to go by on the inside.
AJ, as we mentioned, was going to use the number 48 this weekend to commemorate his 48th year in IndyCar racing. Foyt has stopped again on the racetrack. So Foyt was going to use the 48, which he's used before as a team number, but elected to go back to the 14. And there's a look at Roger, who lost one of his cars.
He can't be happy. I'm sure Castroneves is not happy, but that was one of the fastest corners on the racetrack. That was down in corner number 12, so those guys were through there pretty much flat out. A couple of cars went around Foyt. He just did not give Castroneves the room to go by him on the inside of corner number 12. And once they touched, you can see Castroneves had both wheels up over that inside curb, so he was down as far as he could go.
Well, of course, as you well know, over the weekend, we lost Pope John Paul II in his apartment at the Vatican. And over the winter months, actually, Elio Castroneves had a private meeting with Pope John Paul.
That was incredible to meet somebody, I mean, so pure, you know, and an image that for us Catholic really have something in our mind. It was remarkable, you know, have that chance to talk about the religions in my sport. First of all, that was something incredible, difficult actually to put in words, but no doubt about, I would say it was a great Christmas gift, and I'll never forget that moment.
Obviously a memory that will last a lifetime for Elio Castroneves, as he is out early on lap 14, trying to put A.J. Foyt a lap down, and both cars may well be eliminated. We saw some damage to the front of Foyt's car. He tried to drive off and then stopped on the edge of the racetrack. A beautiful view there of the baseball diamond, Tampa Bay on the right. And the pit stops are being, the crews are preparing for that first round of pit stops. As we said, if we had pit stops under a full course yellow, the pit exit would not be a problem. If we pit under green, it could well be over there in turn 2.
Yeah, this is going to be this is very important. The pit stops here are even more important, I think, than they are on the oval track, because track position is so important. If you lose 3 or 4 spots here, it's not as easy to make up those 3 or 4 spots on a road course as it is on an oval track. So the crews will want to make sure that they don't make any miscues, they get everything done exactly right. And there's Castroneves walking away, and he's not a very happy guy, and I can't say that I blame him a whole lot.
And there's Foyt's car in the background. Watch again.
Got on the inside of Foyt. Foyt turned down in, and he just didn't give him enough room. You know, Castroneves was running over the curb to stay away from him.
He was low as he could be on the racetrack. In fact, he was off the track on the rumble strips.
Exactly. And it is a narrow part of the race course. So from that standpoint, you got to understand. There they go through 11, and then they get into 12, and they just touch. Foyt probably thought he gave him enough room, but it's just such a narrow part of the course, and it's so fast right there that you've got to be very careful. And once you touch, it was all over.
So he has eschewed the ride back to the paddock area. He's going to walk, as both the number 3 car, number 14 car will be on the hook to go back. So Castroneves coming into this event was 4th in the point standings.
Yeah,
he'll drop down this weekend.
Well, yeah, it's gonna hurt him, no question about it. He's going to stand here and just kind of gather his thoughts for a minute.
Collect his thoughts.
He doesn't want. You know, he's a very calm, cool, collected guy most times. He's a lot of fun. But right now, I'm sure his emotions are pretty strong, because when you get put out of a race like this, it's not a good thing.
Okay, they'll come through that last turn, turn 14. Veer off to the right. Pits are open. And all the leaders are going to stop.
Well, we'll see who is the top gun on the pit stops right now. There's Thomas Ingles. He's one of the first ones to his pit. Of course, you can get the tires on pretty quickly. You're not going to need a full load of fuel, because they've only gone. How many laps have they gone? 15 laps.
15 laps.
Herta got out pretty quick, so they only need about a half tank of fuel. Look at Scheckter.
Oh, they're going to crash in the pit area.
Scheckter almost beat everybody out of the pit area.
Scheckter was the first out. He came in 4th, goes out first, or was the first to get out. Herta.
What happened to Herta?
A couple of guys did not elect to pit.
They didn't all stop.
Yeah, some of the guys did not stop on that pit stop. So we remain under our first yellow of the afternoon as we complete lap 16 here in St. Petersburg. Drivers at the front of the pack did come in, and those toward the back of the pack did not come in. So,
well, and that's part of the strategy that you have to play out. If in fact they run about another 30 laps without a yellow, then those guys will have, another 15 laps without a yellow, then those guys will have a huge advantage. And you can see right there, Herta went back around Scheckter. They put him back in front of Scheckter. So the Scheckter or Herta did beat him out of the pit area, but Scheckter got a good run. It'd be interesting to see. You know, it's a lot of strategy in this kind of racing. It's a lot of strategy.
On that one shot, you saw across the cowl behind the steering wheel the name Denise Ferris. There are 2 race fans that have the opportunity, should either Ingy or Scheckter win this race today, they win a trip to Fontana to the race out there. So that's why Denise Ferris' name. It's not Thomas Schechter's girlfriend. It's a race fan vying for a trip to California. The pace vehicle back on the racetrack. Kanaan had a problem. As you go back to Elio there in the infield, roaming around, kind of collecting his thoughts. Tony Kanaan had a problem in the pit lane.
Well, it's interesting to see that Briscoe, Barron, Patrick, Manning, Rice all stayed out. The top 5 did not make a pit stop. So these guys, if they don't get a yellow within the next 15 or 20 laps, they will have to pit under the green. So, but for track position, it's probably a smart thing for all of them to do. They were all deep in the pack, and they weren't going to be able to gain all those spots any other way.
Well, and with a narrow street course, you anticipate some full course yellow, so it might be a real good roll of the dice, a bit of pit strategy. We remain under yellow on lap 17. Now you're riding along with Kanaan. There was a problem during his pit stop. The nozzle kind of hung up there on the side of the race car.
Oh, it's the air jack.
It's the air jack that hung up on him.
Yeah, and then he's one of the air wrenches was under the thing.
Get pulled back, so it's a good thing they were under yellow.
Well, and that's just the kind of thing that you don't need. But Kanaan fell back to 13th because of that. So
now, keep in mind, those that did not stop are now occupying the top 5 positions. Briscoe, Barron, Patrick, Manning, and Rice all elected to stay out. Of those that pitted, Herta now is 6th for the restart, then Scheckter. So Scheckter picked up about 3 or 4 positions because of the good pit stop. Franchitti will restart 8th, then Dixon 9th, 10th is Weldon.
Well, Kanaan actually lost 7 positions. He came in 2nd, came back out 13th, but 5 guys stayed out. But he lost 7 positions on the track because of that little miscue. It doesn't take much. You can see a little hitch in the air hose, a little hitch with the wrench there, and it cost him 7 spots. A huge, huge mistake by the crew.
Now remaining under yellow now. 18 laps complete. At least one more lap before we turn them loose. So again, those that did not pit, we have Briscoe, Barron, Patrick. There's Scott Sharp. He was back toward the back of the lead lap anyway.
He came
Briscoe, Barron, Patrick, Manning, and Rice. Those 5 elected not to make the pit stop under this full track yellow.
Well, and that was a smart move by Sharp. He's already in the back. If he gets a little fuel and they do get a long green flag section, he can get some track position. And it's all about track position here on a road course like this.
We're getting word now from a track observer, Larry, that a few laps before that yellow, Brian Herta may have been spraying the back of car 7. A good view of Biscayne Boulevard.
That will not be a good thing.
Bayshore Boulevard. I'm going to show a replay of perhaps this spray from Herta's car.
This is
riding with.
This is while they're going into the pit area.
See it there.
I don't see anything there either. So we're getting a report that he was spraying something, but from that vantage point going into the pit area, there certainly was not anything coming out.
Because turn 10, that's that left-hander. All the yachts. Which one is your yacht down there, Larry? We're going to invite me over for the weekend. I never got the invitation.
Mine's the one with the 2 wooden things sticking out each side of it.
Yours is the jet ski out there.
Right. Yeah, the oars are more my speed.
That's why you wanted me to come over. You wanted me to help paddle, didn't you?
That's right. That's right.
Okay, along the airport front straightaway.
There's Foyt. No, guess we're not.
There was Foyt.
Yeah. Well, he's probably not real happy right now.
He wouldn't be a pleasant guy to talk to right now.
No, probably not real happy. I'm sure Castroneves will smile when they interview him, but he's not going to be a very happy guy.
Once again now under a full course yellow, and we've completed lap 19. This is a 100 lap event. We've had 2 leaders. Now Kanaan has dropped to the back of the field. And that may have been because of that infraction of running over the air hose or the air jack.
Yeah, very well could be. That's a tough break for him.
And look at this. There's Ed Carpenter. Now, how, Larry, do you spin on a full course yellow?
Well, believe me, it's easier than you might think. Sometimes you get out there, you come off, you're on new tires, and you're just he just got on the throttle too hard. It's very easy with these cars to get on the throttle a little bit too hard. You've been running around very slow. You've got marbles on the tires, and you stand on the throttle, and then you spin just like he did right there. A tough break for him. A lot of that's experience, though, because on an oval track, which is all of his experience, he's got no experience on a road course. Oh, we got 2 more.
We got 2 jammed up behind him.
Wow. We're going to have.
Who do we have now? Here we've got. Well, one is.
What? That's Yasukawa, I think.
Yasukawa, the number 24 car, and that's 7 car Herta.
No, that's Ingi.
That's
Ingi was behind Yasukawa, and he got stopped. I'm not sure. what happened on that
That's
deal.
one thing about covering road courses like this on an oval. You can see from our vantage point around the racetrack.
Yeah.
Here you can't see the entire track unless you're on a monitor.
We'll go down and talk to Castro.
They were giving Anthony word that you were coming and trying to get him to move over. Maybe he was giving you enough room, or was he not?
It's when I saw everybody going through, I went through as well. When I noticed I was right in the middle of the corner and we were like side by side, I back off. I said, that's not going to make it happen. And then it's one of those things, race incident. I'm sure he was trying to give me a room. It was just a shame.
You feel like maybe you ended up pinching him a little bit?
I might anticipate a little bit, like when I saw everybody's coming, I said, hey, that's going to be. When I got in the middle, too bad, but let's keep going.
Helio Castroneves.
Well, AJ was very, very lucky not to get upside down right there. Got a little air in that race car.
Yeah, he certainly did. And Castroneves was very gracious right there. I'm sure he called it just a racing incident. I'm sure he thought that he had the room and to go through there. And quite honestly, it might just be one of those things. Might not be anybody's fault. Just when you're in a very tight part of the course like that, they both thought they had room, and
but when
ended
you're
up they didn't.
going to be a lap down, you got to get the heck out of the way of the leaders.
Well, you would think.
So the yellow continues. In fact, we had some other little altercations on the racetrack under the yellow with Ed Carpenter and Yasukawa, and then that jammed up Ingy. So we've sorted things out. There's a look on Bayshore to that left-hander.
Wow, what? Yeah, one accident led to another, and then another, and I think
it doesn't take a whole lot to close off this racetrack. Anytime you're talking about a temporary racetrack like this, a circuit, it doesn't. As long as these cars are, you get one sideways across the racetrack, you can close it down.
Well, you could see right there when Carpenter was sideways in the racetrack, there was very little room on either side. There's room for one car to go by on the outside, but there wasn't enough room for a car to go by on the inside. So, you're right. You have to be very careful, especially back there in that part of the road course where there's two big walls on either side of you, and if you can't get through, you're in big trouble.
Brian Briscoe, the rookie, leading for the first time this season. Second place is Alex Barron. He also did not stop, so they've gone 21 laps now since the race began. The others pitted some 5 laps ago.
Well, and they'll be able to go beyond that 38-lap mark with all the yellow flags that they've run, but still, they're going to have to hope that somewhere
there's going to be a yellow somewhere.
Yeah, before lap 45, the next 20 laps or 15 laps, they're going to have to hope for a yellow flag, or they're going to lose everything that they gained and then more, then some.
Well, Ed Carpenter has refired, and he heads back to the pit area. The graduate of midgets and sprint cars. There's the right-hand turn that leads back out to turn 2 as they leave the pit area. So on this restart, it's Briscoe, Barron, Patrick, Manning, Rice. Those guys failed to pit. Schechter, of those that did pit, will restart in 6th. Then Herta, Franchitti, Dixon, and Weldon will restart in 10th position. Once again, a rookie running in 1st and 3rd. Briscoe leads it over Barron. Danica Patrick in 3rd position for this restart. There, Darren Manning, as you ride along with Briscoe.
Well,
Briscoe has had a rather rough weekend, so I think it's somewhat of a surprise that he's leading this thing, because it's been a tough weekend for the rookie.
He's crashed at least twice. This is his backup car. They had to get out. And I think at the beginning of the show I said it was Manning who made that big excursion off course and crashed. It was Briscoe. Of course, all those cars painted exactly alike, and you can't hardly tell them apart. But he has had a tough weekend, and right now he's recovered very well and leading the pack.
You saw that transition from the airport to the first turn asphalt, from concrete to asphalt. They're all bunched up now behind the pace vehicle. But this is earlier this weekend. Once again, this is the tough weekend for Briscoe. This was Friday afternoon.
Yeah, that was Friday afternoon.
That took care of one car.
Yep, that was, wow. And that was when he had to get the backup car out. So, you see, came off that corner, clipped the wall. And right here's what you're talking about. It's tough to get through with all that debris on the racetrack.
Backup car right now for the rookie from Sydney, Australia, is in front. The veteran Alex Barron is riding in second. The rookie Danica Patrick third. Darren Manning is fourth. Rice is fifth. We have another lap and a half before we turn them loose. So once again, this does allow these guys to go a greater distance before the fuel stop. Danica.
It'll be interesting
in the opening race at Homestead.
It'll be interesting to see once they get back on going again, whether these cars up front can keep the faster cars behind them, or if they are in fact actually faster. Schechter and Herta back in 6th and 7th were, started up in front of them, had a pretty good lead on these cars. Now we'll see if they can get back around them, as Schechter will be behind Buddy Rice in the 15 car, Patrick's teammate, when they come around for the restart.
Well, these cars in the top 5 positions will be a few pounds lighter because they have a lot less fuel on board. May not be quite the element that we would see in oval track racing.
And once again, turn number 1 on a restart is going to be extremely important. You've got to get a good start, a good run off of turn 14 down that front straightaway, because breaking into turn number 1 is the best passing possibility on this racetrack, what every driver is told me.
Well, Johnny Rutherford pulls the pace vehicle off. That turns the field over to the rookie. So once again, the restart order: Briscoe, Barron, Patrick, Manning, and Rice. Those 5 did not stop. Then Schechter, Herta, Franchitti, Dixon, Weldon, Matsura. Hornish now is 12th in the restart. Then Carpentier, Mira, Sharp, Kanan goes back to 16th for this restart. Then Inge, Yasukawa, Carpenter, Kastronevich is out, and Foyt is out.
Well, Kanan was the big loser because of that penalty, and then Inge, as he got caught up behind Yasukawa, they really are hurting because they're deep in the field right now. Ooh, look at this.
Oh, and he almost, oh man.
He got on the throttle.
Barron got up there almost alongside Briscoe, and Briscoe almost put him in the fence.
That's like what we used to call a brake check. He got on the throttle and he got on the brakes, and everybody thought he was taking off and weren't quite ready for that.
Okay, here you're riding with Tony Kanaan. He restarts back in 16th position. That is Sharp right in front of him, and Mira is in front of Sharp.
When you're this far back, you really can't tell when the leader picks up the gas. You've got to rely on your spotters, and they really can't see all that well back there either. Now then they're coming off. Here they go into the main straightaway.
I will pick up the throttle for sure.
Patrick got a good run. She might be taking on 2nd place. She got a great run on Barron. She's going to take over 2nd place.
Good restart for Danica. Drives into turn 1.
Oh, you can see right there, Schechter went clear to the outside thinking he might make a move out there, thought better of it, pulled back down in front of Herta. But Danica Patrick is the one who got the best start of anybody there. She got around Barron.
Well, let's see what she can do now from that 2nd position. Here's Schechter in the yellow car.
Oh, and there went Buddy Rice.
Rice went around Manning.
And that down there in turn number 3, nobody thought that was going to be a very good passing opportunity, but so far that's proven to be a pretty good place for people to pass.
Manning drops back to 5th. Schechter is still in 6th position. And look at this, Danica has pulled up on the back of Briscoe.
Wow.
Well, we've seen Sarah Fisher lead before in an oval. We see Danica Patrick take the lead here on the road course.
She's looking awfully racy right now. She's doing a great job, and she's moved right up behind Briscoe, and those two have pulled away a little bit from Barron.
And again, these 5 drivers that did not stop will have lighter cars with less fuel on board.
Wow.
Well, you have 2 rookies running 1-2, Briscoe and Patrick.
Danica she outbreaks him a little bit getting in there, but wasn't close enough to make any kind of a move.
I'll tell you what, when they came by that time, and the folks in the grandstand saw that she was up to 2nd position, there are some jumbotrons around here. They saw the pass for 2nd. Obviously, she has more fans here today than anybody else.
Yeah, she does have a lot of fans, and they were really cheering that time by. So she's going to try to get herself in position to make a run off of turn number 13. That's the big move. That's where she made her pass the last time. She's going to have to get a little closer and get a run through 13 and 14. The thing that happens, though, if you get through there too well and you go out and slap that wall coming off of 14 when you get on that concrete, then you've kind of defeated all your purpose. And look at this.
Tony Kanaan back there now in 13th position. He's picked up a couple of spots.
And he almost got clipped right there as he got to the inside, had to get hard on the brakes. Looked like it was Matsura right in front of him. He's got his work really cut out for him. He's really had a long way back.
We'll watch again. On that restart.
So Ingy made a run on him.
That was the restart a few laps ago. Kanan still now back behind Yasukawa. Matsura.
Yeah, that's Matsura.
That's 11th position's Matsura. Kanan is 12th.
Well, he's again, he's got a long way to go. He's got a lot of cars to pass to get up there, but he's working on them one by one. He can probably get by several of them, but boy, it's still going to be difficult. That pit mistake really cost him. Going to put him really behind the 8 ball.
Well, there's plenty of time left. This is a 100-lap event. Working now on lap 29 as 29 laps now complete. There is your leader. Briscoe leads it. Danica Patrick rides in second. Third is Buddy Rice. Rice has gotten around Barron, and Manning now rounding out the top 5.
Wow, you can see right there, Thomas Ingy picked up a position.
And you've got the two Rahal Letterman cars running second and third. In the top 5, you have 2 Rahal Letterman teammates, Patrick and Rice. You have 2 Target Chip Ganassi teammates, Briscoe and Manning. And then stick Barron in there. Barron's in 4th position. Schechter is now in 6th. 7th is Herta. Franchitti is 9th. Or 8th, that is. 9th is Weldon. 10th is Dixon.
Of course, Schechter is the first driver that has made his pit stop. So if they go, you know, another 15 laps, 12 laps, then he will get the lead, because these guys are all going to have to be coming in after about another 15 laps, I would suppose.
There you see the 2 Rahal Letterman cars, number 15.
Yeah, Rice is
number 16. Patrick is 16. Rice is 15.
Rice has moved up past Barron, so he's closing in on Danica Patrick right now. So Rice
after the battle for second position.
After that yellow, he's picked up a lot, been running a lot better than he was earlier in the race.
We've only had 2 leaders. Herta led the first 16 laps. Then when they made the pit stop into the full course yellow, Briscoe stayed out, took the lead. The yellow was for the crash with Foyt being lapped by Castro-Neves. Then under the yellow, Ed Carpenter got sideways. Then that kind of jammed up some cars behind him, which lengthened the yellow period.
Yeah, Ingy's the one that got caught up in that thing. It was Yasukawa and Ingy had to go clear to the back. So he therefore is back in 13th. Kanan's in 12th. And Hornish is in 14th. Hornish is just, since that last yellow, has not run very well at all. He's lost several positions.
Now you look down this airport runway, and there's the gap that has developed now between first and second. A couple of laps ago, Danica Patrick was right on the rear wing of Briscoe. Now some distance has opened up between first and second, and Patrick is being challenged for second by her teammate Rice. Live coverage from St. Petersburg with Ryan Briscoe, the rookie, leading the other rookie, Danica Patrick. Buddy Rice now is 3rd, Alex Barron 4th, and Darren Manning now is in 5th position.
Well, both rookies doing an excellent job right now. Ryan Briscoe doing a great job as he's pulled away from everybody, and I'm sure everybody down in Sydney, Australia is cheering quite heartily right now, as he's, after a kind of a rough beginning to the week, has proven that he can handle the road courses and handle them well.
Look back at Danica. Right behind Danica is her teammate Buddy Rice. We could see a number more laps though before these guys pit.
Yeah, we're being told that they can run another 10 laps before they have to pit, and that should be about right. That would be lap 39. So. We said they could run 38. With those yellows, I thought they might go as many as 40 or 41, but doesn't appear they're going to get to go that many. They're planning on coming in about another 9 or 10 laps. Briscoe, though, doing a great job after that. You know, and you learn. I mean, right there, you had a little wiggle, but wiggles like that are pretty common on this kind of a road course. he learned. I mean, he made a mistake early in the weekend. He came out. This race course was brand new to almost everybody. I think 3 guys had run here before, but most of them had never seen this racetrack before. It was a brand new deal. So you learn and you go on.
Once again, the top 5 right now on the board have not pitted. They've gone now 30 laps. The race is 30 laps old. This will be 31 now being completed. The interval of the last lap around was some 4.2 seconds between first and second. So that shows you how much the gap can open up in only a lap or two, because a couple laps ago, Danica was right behind Briscoe.
Yeah, if you're working really well, you can open it up. And then if you've got somebody behind you that's kind of holding up the pack, then that, of course, helps you too. Danica Patrick doesn't seem to be holding anybody up, though, right now, as Buddy Rice has caught her, but really hasn't been able to do much with her after he got up to her.
But the lead now has gone to 5 seconds for Briscoe. Of course, this is all going to be negated by that pit stop, which will be coming up here in probably another 8 or 9 circuits.
Well, they're all hoping, of course, there'll be another full course yellow before that happens. If that happens, everybody makes the pit stop at the same time, then they've made a terrific strategic move, and they've moved up 10 spots on the course, and it'll all be on the same pit stop sequence as everybody else. If the yellow does not come out, though, then their move did not pay off. But when you're back in 13th, 14th, 15th spot, you've got nothing to lose by making a strategic move like that.
Larry, we talk about getting into a zone or a rhythm, and I would really think that perhaps it's more important to be in a rhythm on a road course than what it is to be on the fast oval.
Well, I think so. I mean, you're doing things, every corner is a little different, the race car is a little different, the field's a lot different, so you've got to get in that rhythm, get in that zone, so to speak. And once you get there, as long as you can stay there, a lot of people make the mistake when they get a big lead, they try to slow down slightly. Well, once you try to slow down slightly, it just messes up that rhythm that you talk about. So you can't really do that. You've got to keep going as fast as that race car will let you go, because you never know when the yellow's going to come out and close that gap.
And the jumbo screens there that is in the left side of your picture come out onto Bay Shore Drive. That's the fast time, the kink right there. Once again, the gap now widens to 5.4 seconds. So Darren Manning is back in 4th position right now. He's gotten around Barron. So the top 5 are Briscoe, Patrick, Rice, Manning, and Barron. So Manning has picked up a position. He's running some 10 seconds now behind the leader.
Briscoe is just pulled away from Danica Patrick. Buddy Rice has just about caught Danica Patrick, but hasn't gotten close enough to make any kind of a challenge to her. So,
and he's not going to stick his nose in there, because Ray Hall will say to stay right where you are. There's no sense to turn up 2 race cars.
Well, that's right, especially when you've got to both make a pit stop here in the next few laps. There's no reason to take that chance and to maybe crash those cars.
So the lead now has gone to over 6 seconds. Briscoe, after 33 laps now complete, 33 of 100.
And you can see that Danica Patrick and Buddy Rice, they have pulled away from Darren Manning and Alex Barron. So they're doing a pretty good job right now. Those cars are a little lighter, as you pointed out a little earlier, so that does make a difference too.
Larry, talk about the focus or concentration factor on a permanent race course that we'll see later this season. There's a lot of things to look at. You know, you can kind of get your eyes off the track for a moment. Here, you're running, except down this straightaway, basically right down between 2 white concrete walls.
Yeah, and it does make it a little more difficult to know exactly what you're doing. Right down here, it's pretty wide open. You've got this big wide turn number 1. But once you get back into this part of the road course, you've got walls on both sides. You learn after a while, but when you first go out there, it's kind of hard to remember which corner you're in. You got 14 corners in this circuit. You got 27 shifts you got to make. So you've got to really be focused every corner on what you're doing and where you're going in order to get through every lap as best you can.
Look at Manning in number 51 back in 5th position. There's Schechter in 6th. So if these top 5 have to make a pit stop under green, Schechter would then assume the number 1 position. Right now, these 5 drivers that you look at on your screen are hoping for a full course yellow. They can make that first pit stop of the afternoon for them under yellow. As Manning continues to open up that gap over 2nd position. The last lap, it was
Briscoe.
What did I say?
You said Manning.
Briscoe. Manning's back and forth. Briscoe Now at 7.4 seconds is the gap between first and second.
Yeah, Briscoe.
They are setting up for Briscoe in the pit lane.
Well, he certainly looks now. He's running laps at over 100 miles an hour average.
Ed Carpenter again. This could be that full course yellow they're looking for.
This is the big, huge break for for Briscoe. As Carpenter sits there on the racetrack. Oh man!
If this goes full course,
this is not what the rest of the field wanted to see.
Well, the second time he spun this afternoon. As you see the turn marshal waving the localized yellow, and apparently it's just going to be a localized yellow.
Well, that's very unusual. I thought they would throw, and here comes Briscoe.
Here comes Briscoe.
He's going to come in whether the yellow's out or not. He knows that even if they have to slow down in that one portion of the course, this is the best time for him to come in. He was getting ready to come in anyway, so we'll see if they can get this job done and get him back out and where he falls in the line. It looks like a lot of everybody else coming in too.
Patrick comes in.
Buddy Rice is in there too. Both Ray Hall cars came in. So a lot of the teams heading for pit lane.
Manning stays out. So Manning will assume the lead. Barron goes to second. Schechter third. Here's a race with the teammates out of the pit lane.
Well, Buddy Rice beat Danica
out for a position.
It looked like they might try to race each other down there, but she
so much for chivalry. He says, "I'll take that position. Thank you kindly." Back out on the race course, actually pull out onto the exit of turn 2. Sam Hornish has come back in.
Yeah, he didn't like his race car. Whatever they did on that last pit stop messed him up. He slowed way down, so he pulled back in.
Well, now they have gone to a full course yellow.
Wow.
Number 10 car of Manning will be your leader under this yellow. Barron is second, but we'll look for those two guys to pit. They've gone 36 laps. There is your leader, the third leader of the afternoon. Hurdle led the first 16 circuits. Briscoe led 17 to 36. Ed Carpenter sets in his Vision race car, and we'll take a look at what happened.
Like he came through that corner, he had to brake a little bit. Just once again, the race cars lose. That's the same place. That's almost the same place he lost it the last time. I think it was just a little bit further around the race course, thinking of going into the next corner, but about the same sort of a mistake.
It's also kind of spooky sitting there watching the cars coming at you.
Oh boy. Well, this is interesting because they do throw full course yellow now,
but didn't immediately.
Didn't do it immediately, and so Briscoe and Rice and Patrick all made their pit stops, and so they fall back farther into the field. Now then Manning and Barron can come in, and when everybody else comes in and won't have gone as far back. So we'll see what happens. But it might play out because Briscoe might be able to. He might still.
If everybody else comes in. Everybody else comes in. He might be the smart one.
Great
crowd on hand. We've had beautiful Chamber of Commerce weather all weekend. You can see the suites up above. Riding along with Barron right now in second position, driving for the Red Bull Team Cheever. Ian Carpentier are teammates this season. Up in front is Manning, who now is the third leader this afternoon.
Well, Manning and Barron, I don't see how they can afford to stay out much longer. They're going to have to come in under this yellow. It'll be interesting to see how many of the other drivers out there, though, stay out. I think that Briscoe, Rice, Patrick, I think they all did the right thing. Franchitti came in too. He's one of them that did come in right away. Hornish came in right away. But some of the other guys who stayed out, it'll all just depend.
Well, it's hard to say from our vantage point how many extra laps they can get by virtue of all these early yellows.
There's the flag. That's telling that the pits are closed. They cannot go into pits. That's the reason nobody's going in there right now. Pits are closed at this point, so they have to stay on the racetrack. These guys, I don't think, are in any danger of running out of fuel before the pits are open, but the strategy on track position is very important here, and I think, quite honestly, they made a mistake by not ducking in right away, because nobody's going to lose a complete lap with that localized yellow.
Well, here's Schechter. Now Schechter back in third position. That's Barron in front of him, and in front of Barron is Manning. Now Schechter made that pit stop. And all the leaders came in back 22 laps ago.
Right, but
pits are open this next time by. We'll see where the pit strategy is. I would have to think this lap or the next lap that you'll see Manning and Barron in the pits.
Well, they've got to come in. I think you'll see all those guys up there in the pits. I think you're going to see Scheckter, Herta, Weldon, Inge, all those guys heading for the pits, because with 22 laps on the tank of fuel they've got, they can't take a chance on there being another yellow in the next 10 laps. I think they'll all pit, and then what's going to happen is Briscoe's going to come out in the lead, and he's going to look like a hero here for pitting so quickly.
So it's going to be Briscoe, Rice, Franchitti, Hornish, and Patrick.
Franchitti is the only one of the people up front, and Hornish, who pitted right away at the same time, as soon as that yellow came out. And I think you're going to see that might have been a pretty smart move on their part.
Here they come.
No, everybody's not going in. There's 2 or 3 cars.
Top
going to
three,
see on
the
the
top
racetrack.
3, Manning, Barron, Scheckter are all in. There's Manning. We saw Kanaan come in. Matsura came in. Well, we're seeing a number of different pit strategies being employed here.
A lot of different pit strategy, but you know, it's going to be very interesting. Here comes Scheckter. Oh, they've had trouble again with Kanaan's fuel. Could not get it engaged that time. The fuel wouldn't go in. So
I thought he killed the engine, but he didn't.
No, he got out all right. Inge's right behind him. He got out right in front of Inge, so that he didn't really lose as much this time as he did last time.
El Herta will find himself back in the lead this lap with his teammate Weldon in second position.
Wow, that was Barron. He had a very slow pit stop for some reason. Like he's going to be, he took him a while to get back out of the pits. Not sure what happened.
This will shake things up because now Herta and Weldon did not pit. Barron did, then Dixon, Carpentier. So this really scrambles the pack up in front.
Yeah, it certainly does. It's
Mira now up to 6th position. Sharp is 7th. Briscoe, who had led a number of laps, back in the 8th position. Kanaan is 9th. Rice is shown as 10th. Franchitti 11th. Hornish 12th. Then Patrick 13th. So we'll sort this thing out here on this full course yellow.
Yeah, it's going to be.
We're waiting for our scoring monitor to catch up with us.
Kanaan, when he made that pit stop, he had a pretty good pit stop, but it wasn't as fast as some of the other guys on the racetrack. So he not lose.
There's Herta. Herta leads for the second time. He had another pole position yesterday, his second straight for Andretti Green. So he leads once again, the second time this afternoon. His teammate Dan Weldon, who, well, we have a problem here with Danica.
It's a tough break for her. She's back in the pit area. But Herta, Weldon, Dixon, Carpentier, Mira, and Sharp, they did not stop. They've all got 24 laps on the current load of fuel. Briscoe, Rice, and Franchitti are the top 3 that did make a pit stop. So I think in the end, unless they have another quick pit stop, these guys are going to move right back up to the top of the field.
Gearbox problem on number 16.
Well, there was a big question mark. There were 2 things that were big question marks going into this race. The gearboxes and the brakes. Everybody in the pit area put on brand new brake pads last night because they didn't want to take any chance on any of them that were used. So the gearboxes, they've never run on a road course before like this. They had no idea how well they were going to do.
Dan Weldon, who won the opener at Homestead, presently second in the point standings. There's a look at the number 9 of Dixon, the champion 2 seasons ago, running in 3rd for this restart.
Yeah, this is the best, farthest up he's been all year long. He struggled last year.
Just about 2 years.
Yeah, he struggled last year and he struggled this year, quite honestly. So
good overhead view of the runway here. They're coming down this concrete runway. The green is back out as we can complete lap 40.
Boy, you can see right there, everybody jockeying for position just a little bit. Look at Franchitti on the outside of Rice.
And Rice.
Dario Franchitti has been extremely racy the last couple of races. Racier than I've seen him ever be. Boy, he is really, really aggressive. Look at this.
Outbreak him on the inside, but no, he did it. He did it.
Briscoe almost got it. Well, Briscoe did a terrific job not to get in the wall right there. As Franchitti was under him, he gave him enough room and almost slid right into the wall. Briscoe did a terrific job keeping that thing on the racetrack.
It may have been a case where he did not expect him to make that move right there. Look at the gap he picked up over Briscoe, and Briscoe almost got passed by Rice.
Yeah, I'm sure he
was right behind Rice.
I'm sure he did not expect that, but once he saw him in there, he did move over, give him room, but boy, when he moved over...
But he ran out of room, too.
Exactly. What happens is once you get out of that groove, there's marbles out there, there's little pieces of rubber, and you pick those up on your tires, it can be a disaster. He's lucky he was able to keep that car under control.
Car might not handle all that well right now if he picked up all that rubber out there. A bit of vibration as you look down the long straightaway, the front stretch, that right-hand first turn. So now with 42 laps complete, Herta continues to lead this thing over his teammate Weldon. Third place belongs to Scott Dixon, then Patrick Carpentier, and then Vito Mira. This is the best Vito has been this afternoon, up to 5th position.
Again, it's strategy on the part of their pits. They did not pull in. They wanted to make, to get track position by not pitting that last time around, hoping for another yellow flag. So we'll see how that all plays out.
Herta has been a very successful race driver during his career, but he may feel like he has something to prove this season because all of his 3 teammates won last year. He didn't. He won a couple of seasons ago, subbing for Franchitti. But now, the last 2 races, he's found himself in a pole position.
Well, as we talked about earlier, this Andretti Green Racing team is going to be a whole different makeup this year because everybody last year knew they had a spot. They knew Kanaan was their leader. Weldon knew he was the new guy on the block. You know, Franchitti knew he was coming back from an injury. Everybody kind of had a slot. This year, everybody is a little more aggressive, let's say. Herta has something to prove, as you said. Weldon no longer thinks he's the second guy on the team. He thinks he should be the first guy on the team, so he's competing more with Kanaan right now. Oh, we do have Scott Sharp in the wall.
Scott Sharp has put the rear wing askew. The champion of the 1996 Indy Racing League season. Scott Sharp, a 2-time Trans Am champion.
He's running in 6th position when this little incident happened. That's down in turn number 1, just coming off of the concrete onto the blacktop.
So this could give us our 3rd full course yellow of the afternoon and give those guys up in front a chance to make their pit stop under yellow. So the yellow certainly will play out in the pit strategy decisions this afternoon.
Well, it certainly will. And the other thing that's going to happen is Franchitti has moved into position to take the lead if those guys take a pit stop.
You see the damage to the rear of that car, so we'll wait to see we get that, that full course yellow out once again. Back with live coverage from St. Petersburg, where we have a full course yellow, and apparently some contact between Franchitti and Sharp put Sharp in the fence and out of the race. And we have our 3rd full course yellow of the afternoon on lap 44.
Well, we said that Franchitti had been very aggressive here recently, and this may have been a case where he got a little overly aggressive. Let's take a look.
Watch on this restart.
You can see Franchitti's following down this long front straightaway. He gets down to the inside, going into turn number 1, and Franchitti got up over the berm, and when he did, it threw his car out a little bit wide. Let's see right here as he goes down underneath, and when he hits that inside berm, the car just slides out. Scott Sharp there's nothing he could do about it. He's just out there, and once Franchitti came out and got into the left rear, or the right rear, I mean, he was up and into the wall.
Tell you what, several of the guys have been very lucky this weekend not to be upside down. They've gotten a lot of air on these race cars.
Yeah, he got in there pretty hard. Franchitti thought he had enough room, and he got in there. It was lower than he thought. Went up over that big curve, that red and white curve on the inside of the racetrack, and when he hit that, the whole race car kind of jumped up in the air and just moved over about 3 feet, and that's what threw him into the side of Scott Sharp.
Franchitti once again now in 5th position. You were making the point just before that yellow that it has been 28 laps since the top 5 guys have pitted. When they come in, Franchitti's in a position to assume the lead.
Well, it'll be interesting though, after that contact, will he come in and make sure there's nothing wrong with his race car? We don't see anything that's bent on the left front. It would be the left front corner that would be bent, and you can't tell anything from here, but
he should have some feel in the cockpit with the steering wheel, something bent up on that suspension. Our third yellow, full course yellow of the afternoon with Brian Herta, the second time he has led. He led from the pole position for the first 16 circuits, but then took the lead about 5 laps ago. He's led since lap 40. Also leading today, Briscoe has led some 21 laps, and Manning led a couple before the last round of pit stops. So right now under yellow, it's Herta, Weldon, Dixon, Carpentier, Mira, Franchitti, Briscoe, Rice, Schechter, Hornish, rounding out the top 10. Danica Patrick had some gearbox problems. She's being shown in 18th position. Foyt is out. Castroneves is out. They got together on the racetrack. Carpenter has spun twice, brought out 1 full course yellow. He's 12 laps off the pace back in 19th.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to put Danica Patrick back out. They've worked on that gearbox. They've done some work. They've refueled her, and they're going to send her back out. So probably she needs as much experience as she can get. So they decided to send her back out there, even though she's 5 laps down. Get all that experience. She was doing a terrific job up till the time that the gearbox failed. She was running in the top 5.
I have to chuckle. I'm thinking for about 3 straight years, Sarah Fisher was voted the most popular driver in the IRL. You think maybe Danica will get this year?
I would not be surprised.
These guys are saying, what do I have to do? These gals are coming on and getting all the popularity.
Well, she's very personable. She gets along with people well. You know, there's a lot of female fans out there, and of course they're all going to vote for her. So
I think some of the guy fans will vote for her.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
We'll have 1 more lap under yellow once they come to complete this circuit. At least 1 more lap. You're right with Tony Kanaan. Kanaan back there in 12th position. He's had some problems really on the pit stops.
Yeah, he has not had the best pit stops in the world. He had trouble this last time connecting the fuel hose. Once he got going, he got back out, but he lost another 2 or 3 positions because he was ahead of Hornish, and he's now behind Hornish and Manning both.
Well, at one point he was back to 18th position.
Yeah, I mean, he's been aggressive on the racetrack. It's been his off the racetrack. And here comes Hornish in the pits.
At the tail end of this pit, this yellow, so this might just be the strategy by the captain, bring him in late under this yellow. He's the only one along pit road right now. So we'll have the green flying the next time by, so Sam makes that late yellow pit stop.
Well, he's not been happy with that race car ever since the first pit stop. Up till the first pit stop, he was doing very well. After that first pit stop, he just was not running all that great, and I think he came in just to try to change the handling a little bit.
Well, that's where they're running right now, where they started. Carpentier with a tough weekend in practice and qualifying, but right now he's up in 4th position. You see Foyt and Castroneves out. They were out in a tangle when Castroneves tried to put a lap on Foyt back on lap 14.
Well, of course, Kanaan and Engie are the 2 who've lost the most ground. They're way back there in the back of the pack after starting right up in the top 6. But they'll move through. Kanaan and Engie both move up, but it's going to be a lot more difficult when you start back there.
They'll have the green this time out as they will come down to complete lap 47.
Well,
Herta, Weldon, Dixon, Carpentier, and Mira have now gone 30 laps since their last pit stop. So they'll have to, if we don't have a full course yellow, they'll have to come in about 10 laps. And that would give the lead to Franchitti.
Yeah, I'm really surprised those guys did not come in. I don't quite. And here comes Franchitti again. Very aggressive, extremely aggressive. That's Mira. He's going by this time.
Made it work.
But he got a good run off of turn 14 down that front straightaway. Outbreak Mira going in there. And you're right, he did make it work, but he has been extremely aggressive the last couple of races. I couldn't believe. I think I was more surprised at Phoenix than I am here. He's always been good on these street courses, but at Phoenix he was awfully aggressive, and he's not usually that way on a oval.
Franchitti has won 10 times, and 8 of those victories in this type of competition have come on the temporary road circuits.
Well, and if you're aggressive like he has been and can stay out of trouble, that's 2 very difficult things to do. You can be aggressive and get into trouble very easily, but to be aggressive and stay out of trouble, that's not
another element there.
Yeah, there's
luck.
Well, and it's a very fine line.
He didn't break the car when he got into Scott Sharp.
Right, and it's a very fine line. You know, you've got to be very, very much on the edge, but there's a fine line of when to do it and when not to do it. We saw him almost get hit earlier when he stuck his nose under somebody. Look at this, he's going to try again.
Carpentier, he's going to get him for 1 more position.
again, down into turn 1, just out-braked Carpentier and took that position.
So right now, Franchitti has moved to 4th position.
That's Dixon right in front of him. And under braking, he's got that car all figured out. He really gets a good run down the straightaway and then really just out-braking everybody in front of him.
Well, it's Herta, Weldon, Dixon, and then Franchitti. So 3 of the top 4 are Andretti Green drivers. The 4th of that stable is Kanaan. Kanaan now is languishing back in 11th position.
And most of the reason for that is because of that first penalty.
Yeah.
When he had to go to the back of the pack and ended up like 18th, as you said. And it's hard to recover from a mistake like that.
Okay, let's see what Franchitti can do now along the front straightaway.
He's going to get another position. He got a good run off of that corner. He's going to pull down and try to get by Scott Dixon going into turn 1.
Here's the move.
Yep, just out-brakes him. Just pulled down there and out-braked him going into turn 1.
So he's made 3 position passes in that same spot.
In the last 3 laps. He's got 1 position every lap for the last 3 laps.
So now you realize that the Andretti Green team has 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
Well, we'll see if it gets a little more difficult now that he's caught Dan Weldon.
There will be no team orders, though.
No, there won't be any team orders. But he might also realize that they're going to have to make a pit stop, and he doesn't have to blow by him here. Of course, the same thing stood true of Dixon, and he went by him anyway.
So right now, Herta and Weldon have gone 33 laps since their last stop. Franchitti has gone only 13. So on this front, it's Herta and Weldon.
That's Briscoe we're riding with right here. That's Mira right in front of him.
Briscoe's back in 7th position. That's Mira in 6th. And there's Franchitti.
Yeah, and you can see that once he got around Carpentier, he's not had nearly as much luck with Dan Weldon. Dan Weldon's getting off of turn 14 much quicker than the other guys are. Dixon got around Carpentier too, though. He's moved up a spot.
So Herta, Weldon, Franchitti.
There's Scott Sharp. Oh, I thought we were going to hear from him. That's not.
Herta, Weldon, Franchitti for Andretti Green. Then Dixon for Team Ganassi. Carpentier is Team Cheever. Mira is Rahal, Letterman. And now Briscoe is back in 7th. Schechter is 8th. 9th is Rice. 10th is Manning. We told you Danica Patrick back on the racetrack, but she is 5 laps off the pace with gearbox problems. She's back now in 17th position. Scott Dixon on board with Scott, currently in 4th position.
Yeah, and Scott Dixon, once he got passed by Franchitti, he's been able to kind of keep up with those guys, but hasn't been able to get up and actually challenge them. As Franchitti appears to be probably the fastest guy on the racetrack right now, as he's catching up with Weldon, and we'll see if he makes a challenge to pass him.
51 laps now completed, the 100 scheduled. On board again with Franchitti. This is up through the sections of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Very, very tight part of the race course. Easy place to make a mistake and get into trouble.
Looks like Dixon starts to close in now on Franchitti. The top 4 nose to tail on the racetrack on lap 52. Brian Herta has led twice this afternoon. First from the pole position, led the first 16 circuits. He's led now 11 laps this second time out in front. Briscoe has led, Manning has led.
And you can see that the field is fairly equal. At the first 10 or 12 cars all running pretty close to each other, right there on the same straightaway, on the same front straightaway anyway, when they get the chance. But Dixon not really getting up and able to challenge for 3rd position, as Franchitti is just he's all over Weldon though.
You know, I said we didn't have team orders with Andretti Green, but they may have told these guys, hey, just cool it, run right there in that position, let's not take anybody out.
Well, I think that Franchitti is wise enough to know that he doesn't gain anything by
look at that. Oh, some contact right there.
That's Manning and Kanaan, as Kanaan once again tried to sneak under Manning. Kanaan saw that he was not going to give him room, got hard on the brakes, and they did make a very slight contact, but not enough to bother either.
Now remember, Kanaan finished all the laps of competition last year on the lead lap, has completed all the laps of competition so far this year. But that contact like that could knock the suspension askew.
Well, and it could knock you into one of the walls, too. So you have to be a little careful. He thought he had room. He thought Manning would give him room. Manning obviously wasn't having any of it and pulled right down to the inside of the racetrack.
Well, let's see if he can do like his teammate Franchitti and get a run down the straightaway. It doesn't look like he's going to make it, though.
No, didn't get a good enough run that time.
Didn't get off the corner well enough. That's the battle back there for 10th position. Manning is 10th. Kanaan is 11th. 12th is Ingy. Then it's Masura, Barron, and Hornish. Only 15 drivers on the lead lap. Yasukawa is a lap down. Patrick is 5 laps down. On lap 54, Brian Herta leads his teammates, Weldon and Franchitti. Dixon is 4th. Carpentier is now in 5th spot. As we say, there are 15 drivers on the lead lap, and Hornish is at the tail of the lead lap. Yasukawa is a lap off the pace in 16th. 17th is Danica Patrick. She is 5 laps off the pace. Sharp is out. Carpenter has spun twice. He is 20 laps off the pace. Back in 19th position. Those other drivers out of the race, Castronevitz and Foyt.
And we're getting close to the time when we're going to see Herta and Weldon, Dixon, Carpentier, and probably Mira all head for the pit area. So I believe they're going to have to do it in the next 3 or 4 laps.
Well, they've gone now 38 laps since their last pit stop.
And with the yellows and everything, they can probably go as many as 40 or 41. I'd be very surprised if they can go beyond 41. Remember, you're talking about almost 2 miles around this race course. So these things get about 2 miles per gallon. So, you know, every lap you're using a gallon.
Working now on lap 65 and then lap 55 of a 100-lap event.
So we'll see if they come in this time or next time to complete lap 39. And nope, not this time.
He's out.
I just, either next time around or the time after, I think these guys are almost going to have to stop.
So Franchitti then would have the lead. Dixon will have to stop. Carpentier will have to stop. Mir will have to stop. And then we'd probably see Briscoe in second place. Schechter would move to third. And then Rice would move to fourth. Manning fifth. And that would move Kanaan up to 6th position.
Well,
unless, of course, we had a full course show and they'd all come in.
And that's why they're waiting. They're going to wait till the very last chance. There's Carpentier.
You see the wins that he's had 4 on road courses.
Yeah, everybody expected him to qualify a little bit stronger. Of course, they had trouble here on Friday. They did not get to run one complete practice session on Friday, and that really hurt them. So when you lose out like that, you're always behind the 8 ball a little bit. But he's in 5th place, so he's run very well here in the race once he got kind of his problems all sorted out on Friday.
He's back there in 5th position, but again, he'll have to make a pit stop the next 2 or 3 laps.
Well, it looks like they're going to stretch it out even more. This is lap 40, so I may be wrong. They may be able to go 42 laps. Who knows?
So Andretti Green with their 3 of their 4 drivers running 1, 2, and 3. And their other driver, Kanaan, mired back in the 11th position, some 7 seconds behind the leader.
Ingy and Kanaan back there in 11th and 12th. They're still hanging on, but they've not been able to get around many cars after they got put to the back of the pack.
Well, as you said earlier, Larry, there was some concern for the gearboxes. They've really not been tested, and so far only one problem has arisen, and that was Danica Patrick, who now is some 5 laps off the pace.
Well, the brakes haven't seemed to be a problem. Everybody seems to be able to get hard braking. But as the race wears on, down around 80, 90 laps.
Yeah, because you're just past halfway now.
Yeah, you're just past halfway. If these brake pads do, in fact, start wearing out and the brakes start getting soft, it could make a big difference. Somebody just ducked into the pits right there.
Mira, they had set up for Vito Mira to make his pit stop. So here comes Mira. He's been back in 6th position.
He's the first of that group that did not pit to make a pit stop. So we'll see. This could put him in a position He's still going to have to make one more pit stop. He's not going to be able to make it on this pit stop. He's going to have to come in one more time.
Well, let's look for the other ones the next time around, because now they've gone 41 laps since their last stop.
Well, they just, I just can't imagine that they can go a lot farther. They've got to all be getting ready for this pit stop very, very shortly. These guys might be able to stretch it. They get to lap 60. That leaves 40 to go. If there's a couple of yellows, they may try to stretch it to lap 60. And
but that could also bring in a full course yellow.
Yeah, they could. I mean, they run out of fuel. They could end up having something like that happen. So it's a gamble, but it may be one. Track position is so important. It may be a gamble worth taking. Who knows?
Working on lap 59. We go through turn 1 off the airport runway onto the asphalt. It's still Herta, Weldon, and Franchitti at the front. Dixon's 4th, then Carpentier. Briscoe is up to 6th, 7th is Schechter. Of course, Larry, we don't have the advantage of having the onboard computers, the telemetry. We really can't tell what the fuel mileage is and how much more they can pick up because of those earlier yellows.
Right. With the yellow flags, they did run a lot of yellow flag laps, and maybe they pick up more on those yellows. They should be able to get about 2 laps for every one, but I may be wrong there too.
Oh, look at brake smoke as he locked it up. That's your leader, Herta. And
42 laps now that he's run.
And Weldon's right behind him, and he's gone 42 laps.
Yep, there's several guys out there, still 4 guys
Dixon
out there.
Staying out.
So obviously they have the fuel calculated pretty close, and they're going to stay out there hoping for that yellow flag. They're going to stay out there till the very last time that they have to come in.
Working now on lap 60 of a 100-lap event. Alex Barron has pulled off to the pits. Barron was well back anyway.
Yeah, he had to pull in. Those guys up front are going to have to be making pit stops fairly soon, I would think. And when they do, guys like Schechter are going to really gain. He and Briscoe especially are going to gain a lot of spots.
And Rice. All right, let's see if Herta comes in this time. Will they bring the 2 Andretti Green teammates in together on the same lap? Well, they stay out. This will be 44 laps since the last stop.
You can see how rough it is down that airport runway. It's very, very rough down that front straightaway.
Well, this becomes nail-biting time. When they're going to come in? 44 laps now since Herta and Weldon last pitted. Franchitti has only gone 24 laps. Live coverage from Tampa Bay on the western shore of St. Petersburg here in Tampa Bay. Second of 3 races of this season to be, second race in Florida of the first 3 of the season. Of course, we open at Homestead.
And this time of year, you have to run
someplace where it's warm.
Somewhere where it's warm. And Phoenix and Florida seem to be 2 of the best places to go.
California's been so wet here in recent weeks. It's a good thing we're not scheduled to be out there. Herta now leads Weldon and Franchitti, his 2 teammates. But now will they come in this time?
Well, they're going to. Nope. Not this time. They're going to.
Dixon's pit is getting set up. Target Ganassi teammates getting ready to bring. Carpentier finally comes in.
So he's one of.
I'll tell you, these Hondas are getting incredibly good fuel mileage.
Yeah, he's one of the 4 that stayed out. So he's going to be coming in now. Then there's only 3.
But he also has a Toyota.
Yep.
He's trying to get out of there before the hose was 11.4 seconds for Carpentier. And he almost came out before the fuel line was disengaged.
And that's easy to do. It's an easy mistake to make. That's why you have to have somebody there telling you when you can go, because once they let that car down, you want to take off. But if the fuel's not disengaged, it can be a big mistake, and you can pull over the fuel holder.
Well, let's look for Herta this time, Larry. Herta, and will they bring Weldon in as well? They've gone 45 laps. Actually 46 with this lap.
Right along with Dixon.
And there comes Herta.
And there comes Dixon.
But Weldon stays out. So Herta comes in. Weldon takes the lead for the first time this afternoon. Our 4th different leader.
A 60-mile-an-hour speed limit on pit road. So they have a button they just push on the dashboard that keeps them at that speed.
10-2 for Dixon. Stop. Herta being serviced now by the Andretti Green team.
They're going to try to put enough fuel in there.
Go the distance.
That's exactly what they're trying to do.
12-4, and who's going to win this race out?
Dixon won the race out. I think Herta stayed in to make sure he got every bit of fuel.
He wants to go the distance.
I think he's going to try. I think he's going to try to stay out there and finish this race without making another pit stop.
Well, he shouldn't have to. Well, like 45 laps, 46 laps.
Now he should be able to make it.
So 38 laps to go.
Yep,
so
he should be able to make it. And if he does that, then he's going to be in a great position to win this race.
Now we should see here comes Weldon. So Franchitti leads for the first time this afternoon.
Yeah, Franchitti is going to have to make another pit stop. So Herta played his cards right, and Weldon also will not have to make another pit stop. So looks like those guys in the long run, even though they're pretty far back in the pack right now, their strategy may have paid off. Herta, Dixon, Carpentier.
And even with a full course yellow, they really shouldn't have to stop for tires.
They should be able to go even if it stays green. And if it's all about track position. Whether it's a green or not, they should end up in the lead.
Well, Franchitti now assumes the lead, as we had said, once those guys made their pit stop. So now Franchitti, Briscoe have gone 27 laps. Schechter has gone 24. He's in 3rd. Rice has gone 27 since his pit stop. He is 4th. Manning now is 5th. 6th is now Kanaan.
Wow, look at this. Franchitti is going to come into pits. This is a pit strategy. He's going to be the first one in, hoping that he can be first out. If there is another yellow, he can stay out and gain all those positions. This is a strategy move, not because he had to, but it's purely a strategic pit stop because he knows if he pits now, he can make it to the end. So they're going to try to make this pit stop, and then if there is another yellow, they will not have to come in under that yellow. So a very strategic move by these guys. They want to be able to stay out and not make another pit stop no matter what happens on the racetrack.
So Briscoe for the second time this afternoon leads. He led laps 17 through 36. Schechter is now 2nd. Manning is 3rd.
That's a good strategy. I think that's a good strategy on Franchitti's part. Could put him in a position to win this race. And you can see Schechter very close to Briscoe right now.
We've had 5 different leaders today. Herta led the first 16 laps. Then Briscoe led. Manning, Weldon has led, and Franchitti has led. Here's a replay of the Franchitti pit stop.
You can see the tires off, tires on. Watch the fuel. You can tell when it's full. You'll see fuel coming back up that return hose. Right there it is. It's full right now. They leave it in there until they make sure they've got every last ounce. They stayed on there a lot longer than I thought they would have, just to make sure that they had every bit of fuel in there that they could get.
Well, Franchitti now, after that pit stop, is back in 7th position. Briscoe is your leader. Franchitti now being shown, well, he'll fall down through the serial as we go through this lap. There's a look at your leader. Briscoe. Schechter is 2nd. Manning is 3rd. Then Kanaan up to 4th. They'll have to make one more pit stop, though. Then Ingi. Matsura. Hornish is now 7th. Franchitti is 8th. Weldon 9th. 10th is Rice. Dixon is 11th. Herta is 12th. Carpentier is 13th. Mira is 14th. Barron is 15th. Those 15 drivers are on the lead lap. Then we have Yasukawa a lap back in 16th. Danica Patrick 5 laps back in 17th. Sharp is out. Carpenter is still out there, but he's 32 laps back in 19th. And as we said earlier, Castroneves and Foyt out after that crash on lap 16.
It'd be interesting to see if these guys wait for a yellow. They're kind of between a rock and a hard place right now. They got no real reason to come in because they don't gain a lot by coming in when they're up front. But if there's a yellow, they might lose out more than they would if there is no yellow, because a lot of these guys that are way back in the back, Mira, 14th, 15th, Barron, they're going to go around them when they make a pit stop, especially if it's under a yellow.
Well, right now, Denise Ferris is hoping that her driver, Thomas Scheckter, wins this thing, because as a race fan, she will win a free trip to Fontana to watch these guys and the one gal race later this season, October.
Rice is already, he came in, he made a pit stop, another strategic pit stop, come in and try to get ahead of everybody else if there is a yellow and everybody has to pit. So I think, quite honestly, those are wise moves at this point in the race. Scheckter and the only Chevrolet powered, he and Ingy and the only 2 Chevrolet powered cars on the racetrack, and both of them doing quite well right now, running 2nd and 5th.
Well, Scheckter is right, 2nd. Ingy had a problem earlier when he had the track blocked in front of him and had to stop on the racetrack. And right now, Kanaan has moved himself back up to 4th position. So he has struggled all day. After that first pit stop, when he had the penalty, went to the back of the pack and has struggled to move forward. Now he's gone, he'll have one more pit stop to make, because he's gone 28 laps since his last stop.
Yeah. Looks like Franchitti, Weldon, Dixon, Herta, Carpentier, and Mira are the ones who will not have to stop again.
Well, you're right along with Scheckter there in 2nd position. You see the gap between 1st and 2nd as they complete lap 68. We come to you live from Tampa Bay, Florida. Fine day to be out there on a sailboat or a yacht, but right now we have some important business to take care of, because we still have about 31.5 laps to go, and there is your leader, rookie Briscoe.
Yeah, Ryan Briscoe doing again an excellent job all day long of maintaining his spot. Once he got off sequence with some of these other guys, he's had a chance to lead the race, and when he's been out front, nobody's been able to challenge him. Scheckter right now is maintaining, but he's not closing in. He's not losing anything, but he's not really able to close in either.
We'll also see there's a car up in front of them. And of course, we talk about traffic. I mean, one car on a tight temporary course can be major traffic.
Can be major problems if they don't get out of the way, that's for sure, as we saw with Foyt and Castroneves.
Well, there's the gap between 1st and 2nd as they complete lap 69. There's Ryan Briscoe, your rookie, out in front of Thomas Scheckter. You look back at Scheckter right now in 2nd. Darren Manning is 3rd. Kanaan is 4th. Ingy is now in 5th position. Now you're right on board with Scheckter.
Yeah, Schecter's been maintaining. He's about 1 second behind. He's just kind of been maintaining that distance. Has not been able to close in very much.
You go on board with Kanaan, who's back now in 4th position.
Here's the throttle control, and you're down in 2nd gear through these corners. Now he's out in 2nd gear, but through those corners you get down into 2nd gear and you just kind of stay there. Make it through those corners, and then you shift up going down this part of the stores, down into this big sharp left-hander. You're back down into 2nd or 3rd right there. And then you head back down into this part. These are the wide open corners right here. This is where they had the problem. Then you're down into another really sharp right-hander going on in the front straightaway, and you're clear down into 2nd gear once again.
A good overall view of the yacht club there.
Now it looks like Scheckter has moved in a little bit. Looked like Briscoe might have made a small mistake on that lap, and Scheckter gained some ground on him that time around.
Working on lap 71. They still probably have another about 10 laps to go before their pit stop. Unless, of course, we have that full course yellow. We've had 3 full course yellows. One involving the Foyt Castroneves crash on lap 16, lap 14 was it. And then Carpenter spun on lap 40. And the Sharp Franchitti contact that put Scott Sharp in the wall on lap 44.
It's been a very clean race, though. There has not been a lot of contact on the racetrack. There's been some aggressive driving. Franchitti, I think especially, has been extremely aggressive out on the racetrack, but other than the contact one time he made with Sharp, there has not been a lot of contact out there on the racetrack.
And we had said early on that this was going to be a contact sport this afternoon.
And I thought in turn one, where Franchitti and Sharp had their problem, I thought there would be a lot of trouble. I thought there would be all kinds of guys trying to outbrake each other and getting into trouble in that area. So far, based on the starts and restarts, there has not been a problem. Nothing like I thought there might be.
Now here is the situation right now. 100-lap event. We're working on lap 72. Briscoe and Schechter running 1-2. And then Manning, Kanaan, Inge. Those guys will have to pit, as will Matsuura, who's back in 6th position. Those guys will have to pit before this race is over. However, Franchitti should be able to go the distance. Hornish, who is now in 8th position, will have to pit. And those that should be able to go the distance would be Weldon, Dixon, Herta, Carpentier, and probably Mira and Barron, as well as Rice.
Well, there's two things that are going to start coming into play here in the next 30 laps. 29 laps to go. That number one will be the brakes on the cars. See if they hold up. If you haven't overused them, haven't overcooked them, so the brakes go soft. And number two, if the driver's in good physical condition or not. If a guy's not in good physical condition, we're going to see it here pretty shortly, because they're going to start making a few very slight errors, the errors that are going to cost them time on the racetrack.
Or even a slight error could cost you a slap of the fence out there and become a spectator.
That's right. And fatigue, if you are fatigued, if you are tired, if you're not in good shape, it's not difficult to just get a little bit too hard on the throttle, to smack that wall coming off one of the corners. And you're right. It doesn't take a lot of fatigue. If everybody else is in absolutely 100% excellent condition and you're only in 90% good shape, then you're going to be the guy to lose out here near the end of the race.
So once again, Briscoe, and that's the gap back to Schechter. You see it on your screen on a stopwatch. It amounts to about 1 second. Manning is in 3rd, but he's some 4.5 seconds back of Briscoe, his teammate. Kanaan now is 4th. He is 6 seconds back. Inge is 5th, and there he's been shown as 6.8 seconds. Matsuura is now in 6th position. He's about 10 seconds behind the leader. But again, all these drivers will have to make their final pit stop.
Well, Briscoe from Australia, and then Schechter from South Africa, and then in 3rd is Manning from England. So we got a lot of different countries represented up here near the front of the field.
We have 10 different countries represented in today's field. Of course, Tony Kanaan from Brazil back in 4th position. And Thomas Inge from the Czech Republic. Matsuura back in 6th from Japan. Franchitti from Scotland.
So 6 different countries in the first 6 positions, and then Franchitti, if you think Scotland is a different country from the UK, I guess you could say 7 for 7. And then 8 is Hornish, who is American.
So 9 of 9, or 8 of 8, or
8 of 8.
8 of 8. 8 of 8. Yeah.
8 of 8 if you consider Scotland. Depends on whether you say Scotland and England or whether you say UK. Scotland and England.
Scotland.
Okay. Mira has made his last pit stop.
Tell you what, they do some fighting over there, so you better just say Scotland is Scotland. There's Mira making his final pit stop here on lap 75. There's a look at Dan Weldon. Weldon right now back in 9th position, but he is set to go the distance. It's been 10 laps since his last pit stop. What a beautiful overview of the South Yacht Basin and the Yacht Club here in Tampa Bay.
I'm not sure what happened to Hornish there, but he slowed way down, and Weldon got around him. Looked like he had some trouble out there on the racetrack and was way off the pace there for just a short time.
Matsuura makes his final pit stop. If you've just joined us and wonder why we're not talking about Castro Nevitz, who was quick throughout the practice session and started this race in 2nd position. He got locked up in a shunt with Foyt on lap 14. He was going to put a lap on young AJ, and they got together and took both cars out. We have a 3rd driver out of the race, is Sharp. Briscoe now is getting ready to stop.
Here comes Schechter.
Here comes Schechter. Now Schechter always makes a pit stop earlier on the ovals. The Chevy not getting the fuel mileage, but he comes in.
Well, you got to have a lot of trust in your driver. When you're sitting there on your knees, and he's coming in there at 70 miles an hour and gets within 6 inches of you and stops. You got to have a lot of trust in that guy, because of any kind of mistake.
A lot of trust or a lack of common sense.
Whatever. But anyway, you know, when he pulls in there like that, a little error on his part can be cause some broken bones.
You go back from 170-some miles an hour on the straightaway to 70 to 55.
Oh, yeah. And there there is Briscoe once again having a great run here, leading this race, and but he is going to have to make a pit stop here before too much longer.
Well, it's Briscoe and Manning. So right now the top two drivers from the same team, and here he comes.
Yep. Heading into the pit area. He's got the first pit right there on the end. So
second time today that Manning has led. There's a look at the rookie. And Kanaan has come in for his final pit stop. Tony Kanaan comes in for his final pit stop. And Manning or Briscoe just made his stop.
Trouble getting the fuel hose in. Something is wrong with that fuel. They could not get the fuel in. So this is going to put him again at a huge, huge disadvantage. They could not get the fuel hose in. I'm not sure what the problem's been, but he's been in 3 times, and all 3 times they've had trouble with that fuel hose. Wow, what a tough break for him. It didn't look like it took a lot longer, but boy, it doesn't take a lot on this racetrack. Look at
Franchitti there in 4th position.
And that's Briscoe right in front of him.
So Briscoe went in with the lead and comes back out in 3rd.
Well, but the important thing is he beat Franchitti. He got out in front of Franchitti. They both made their final pit stop. Now then, if Franchitti wants to win this race, he knows that he's got to go around Ryan Briscoe. Briscoe's looked pretty quick, but so has Franchitti. Franchitti got off that corner pretty good. I think he's going to give him a shot right here.
Here he comes down the straightaway. We saw this several times earlier. There's Ingy and Mira.
Ingy's having a great run here today. Been back in the pack a couple of times because of different things that have gone on, but he got messed up there with Yasukawa for one thing. That hurt him a lot.
Well, Mira is at the back of the lead lap. This is for, well, the leader is now shown as Ingy.
Ingy is the leader because he is not pitted. So he's leading the race. Mira's almost a lap down, but Ingy is going to have to take his pit stop, and when he does, he's going to put Briscoe and Franchitti back up near the top of the front of the pack.
Our 6th different leader this afternoon. Schechter is in the tire barrier on lap 78.
What a tough break for Thomas Schechter. He was running.
Just bring out the full course yellow.
Running in
at that point,
position.
it probably will.
Running in 5th position.
Well, we have one very, very unhappy race fan. Denise Ferris will not win that trip to Fontana for the season finale out there in October.
Well,
Eddie Carpenter's off the track back there.
Yeah, I think you're going to. Well, they pulled him off when he crashed that last time, or spun that last time. They just parked him. But they're going to have to get the wrecker out there and get him off of the racetrack because they're not going to push that thing off. You can see that left front's laying all cockeyed there, so he hit that pretty hard. There you can see out the back as the safety truck pulls up. And everybody who has not made a pit stop, who needs to make another pit stop, will be in shortly.
Well, we're approaching on lap 79. This is a 100-lap event. You see
Cornish and Ingy.
The lane is still closed. Ingy will have to stop.
Ingy will have to stop. Cornish will have to stop. I don't know whether. I think everybody else might try to stay out there and run the rest of the laps. I don't know.
So right now, under yellow, there's the yellow from the flag stand. It's a full course yellow, the 4th of the afternoon. Ingy will have to stop. Then Briscoe is 2nd, Franchitti 3rd, Manning is 4th. As a safety vehicle, the pace vehicle with Johnny Rutherford on board pulls out to pick up Ingy. And there's Thomas Schechter still with the helmet on.
Yeah, his day is over. The front, the left front on that car is not in good shape, and I don't think he's going to be able to get restarted.
Well, Ingy, Briscoe, Franchitti, then Manning, Weldon, and Kanaan.
Well,
and Ingy will have to stop.
And the two who've really played the pit stop strategy game and played it absolutely perfectly have been Ryan Briscoe and Darren Manning. Those two guys were not up front at the beginning of the day, but they will be near the end because of their pit strategy. Franchitti, of course, he started up front and has done his pit strategy quite well too, but those other two really have gained a lot by their pit strategy.
I hear from John Barnes, the managing partner of the Panther Racing team. That's his car we're looking from right now. So he has one driver leading this race, the other driver out of the race. Yes, look at the number 10 of Manning back in 4th position for this restart. So Ingy will have to stop. Ingy will have to stop. That will give the lead to Briscoe. And it's going to be a shootout among Briscoe, Franchitti, Manning, and Weldon. Kanaan will restart in 6th position. Once Ingy makes the pit stop, he'll move to 5th. Hornish will have to stop. Yeah, he's gone 33 laps since his stop, so that'll take him out of contention.
Hornish and Ingy are the two cars that are, there goes Ingy. Ooh.
With their tires, they've only changed tires one time on all 3 teams. Granted, they did change the right and left, or the rear left tire on Ryan Briscoe. Now, Darren Manning last stop did not change.
Wow, I'm not sure why Franchitti pulled in. Unbelievable. He was in 2nd place. I have no idea why he came in. To get a little more fuel. They didn't think they had enough fuel, evidently, but wow. I can't imagine. There's only 20 laps left. He made a pit stop, what? About...
my guess is he had enough fuel left in that thing.
Wow.
By the pure numbers.
That's going to this going to cost him big time.
Out of contention.
That's cost him big time. Now then, Briscoe and Manning. Their pit strategy really looks terrific right now. Really looks good. Ryan Briscoe has put himself in a position to win this race.
As a rookie.
Wow.
Still waiting to hear from John Barnes.
Panther, and a difficult day for Thomas Scheckter. You guys were having such a good positive run.
Yeah, I think he was doing a great job, and the crew did too. The car was awesome. Dave Cripps came up with a great setup for the car. And it was there. I don't know what happened. We haven't had a chance to talk to him yet.
Didn't get any feedback from Thomas at all?
Not that I can talk about here on the TV.
How about the other driver of the Pennzoil Panther crew and the Rockstar machine, Thomas Inga?
Tomas did a great job. They had trouble with the fueling rig the first stop and made him make an extra stop. So they moved him from, I think at that time he was 5th, moved him back to last. But he'll get back up there. He's a good kid. He really is.
Shown a good run today on the road courses. Let's go upstairs.
We have Americanized Thomas.
Yeah.
Thomas.
Yeah. And there was a little what would you say, discussion about that. Thomas Scheckter does pronounce his name Thomas, and Tomas does pronounce his name Tomas, and that's the way he would like it pronounced. So I guess we've been
apologies for saying Thomas all
exactly.
season. Well. We have the team of, we're going to dust the track off here. I didn't see that vehicle in the starting lineup.
No, I didn't either. Well, it'll be interesting.
So I'd say the Target Ganassi team running 1-2, Briscoe and Manning for the restart when we actually get them restarted. And the track sweeper out there on the racetrack right now, but as you say, the pit strategy has worked so well that we could have a rookie in victory lane with Briscoe. Manning rides in 2nd. On the restart, Weldon and Kanaan will ride 3rd and 4th. So it's the Ganassi team running 1-2 and the Andretti Green team running 3 and 4, and Dixon of Ganassi is running in 5th. So the Target Ganassi team has 3 of the top 5 on this restart.
Yeah, it's the pit strategy has really played into this whole thing, and I'm just baffled as to why Franchitti, he dropped clear down into 12th position from 2nd, and it just didn't seem like he needed to do that to me. I mean, there were some yellow flag laps out here. He had 38 laps. At the end, he would have had 38 laps on that tank of fuel, but obviously he felt like he needed to stop.
Complete 82 laps this next time by, giving us 18 to go. The pace vehicle still leads the parade under yellow here as they complete lap 82. You ride along with your leader on the restart. It will be Ryan Briscoe. Darren Manning rides in second. Third will be Weldon. Fourth, Kanaan. Fifth is Dixon. Sixth is Matsura. Herta, who led early from the pole position, is now in seventh. Carpentier is eighth. Ninth is Rice. 10th is Barron. Then Mira, Franchitti, Engie, Hornish. Those are the lead lap drivers. Yasukawa is now 2 laps off the pace. Schechter is out of the race. Danica Patrick is 5 laps off the pace, so she'll be in the 16th position. There's Yasukawa making a late pit stop and re-entering the racetrack in turn 2. So now 82 laps are complete.
Well,
you would think this would be a long yellow because it didn't take long to get that car off there.
You'd think they'd be about ready, probably after this next lap, probably about a lap and a half. There you can see a beautiful layout right there. Ryan Briscoe started back in 10th, Darren Manning in 16th. Weldon has done a good job too. Those 3 guys, all 3 have gotten to the front because of their pit strategy. Absolutely great strategy. Kanaan, I'm surprised he's still up that far with all the trouble he's had with refueling in the pits.
Your 5-lap yellow will go green the next time by. Bayshore Boulevard along the South Yacht Basin. This is a beautiful layout, and the weather has been phenomenal this weekend. Nice and mild and sunny. A huge crowd for practice on Friday. Good crowd for practice qualifying yesterday, and you've seen that full grandstand this afternoon.
Wow.
Jam up there.
Yes, there was. Briscoe didn't get on the throttle quite as quick as he thought he would. Weldon almost got into the back of Manning. But Briscoe, that's, again, looked like the brake check idea as he slowed way down, and Manning did not get a very good run off of that corner either.
Look at Dixon. Dixon looked to the inside of Kanaan. Kanaan looks to the inside of his teammate, but no passing as they head for that first turn.
A lot of cars back there trying to figure a way. On that restart, it's absolutely the best time to make that pass. Nobody could do it, though.
You're right along with the number 11 of Kanaan back in 4th position. That's Weldon out in front of him. Kanaan looks to the inside.
Kanaan got around Weldon.
Got around Weldon for 3rd spot. So now it's Briscoe and Manning up in front, but Kanaan goes to 3rd. Weldon drops to 4th. 5th is Dixon. So it's a shootout between the Ganassi team and the Andretti Green team.
Well, I think Kanaan has got more than Manning. I think he's going to be able to get around Manning, right? Whoa, this is a pretty scary place.
The contact.
Oh,
and they
man.
all continue on. Can you believe that?
Oh, man, no way.
Can you believe that? And Manning almost gets hit again by Weldon.
Wow, that was a pretty, starting to say that was a real scare. Oh, there's contact.
There's
that's Franchitti.
Franchitti.
No, that's not
Manning.
That wasn't Franchitti. That was Matsura.
Matsura? Well, you can see the damage to the car, but he's going to spin that thing around. No, that was Dixon.
That was Dixon.
We thought that was Manning. That was Dixon.
Dixon and Matsura got together.
Oh my, well, that'll be a localized yellow.
Well, it's down to the nitty-gritty, down to near the end, and the guys are getting, all of a sudden, very aggressive and very racy. Meanwhile, Briscoe's just kind of out there pulling away from everybody while they're back there banging into each other.
Kanaan rides in 2nd, Weldon 3rd, Manning is 4th. Wow, what a set of circumstances. We're going to show the Kanaan replay first. That was Kanaan and Manning getting locked up. Now watch this.
They're going in there, and you know, Manning just didn't give him enough room. Well, there was enough room for nobody. I don't see how either one of them made it through there.
Jeez.
So they did a great job, and then Manning got passed again, fell back another spot.
This is the onboard. We saw this when it happened. Look at that.
Yeah. I'm not sure he knew he was there. He was up there, but he wasn't up quite far enough, and that's a very, very tough place to pass anyway.
And there's the reaction in the pit area.
Yeah, we survived that one.
That's a Nerf job.
We dodged the bullet that time. Let's see what happens now. Wow.
Now lap 85, 15 laps to go.
And Kanaan is faster than Briscoe, so we'll see what happens if he catches him. We know he's aggressive. We know he's going to go for it, so we'll see if Briscoe has enough to keep him back there. Briscoe's done an excellent job all day long. He's had a great run. But he's got one of the real masters behind him right now, and this guy is not going to be easy on him.
Whoops. Well, there goes.
There's two cars. That's Ingy and Hornish.
That's a yokel. A local yellow only.
Thomas Ingy got into Sam Hornish.
That's Tomas Ingley. Tomas.
So they're not going to.
How exactly did this happen?
Well, he just he just tried to outbrake.
That's what Hornish is wondering right now.
And that might be a case where the brakes. We talked about the brakes getting soft. It might be a case where Ingy's brakes got a little soft. He got on them. They just didn't stop him as quick as he thought they would. And obviously, he just ran right up the back end of Hornish, and both of them are sitting there.
We go back on board. Briscoe is your leader now as they complete lap 86.
And this is that crash between Dixon and Matsura. Matsura got in under Dixon, and there was Herter right behind him. He avoided all that. But you can see a lot of body work all over the racetrack.
Now there's a look at Hornish. Got to take the helmet off now in lap 87.
Boy, the Roger Penske team did not have a good day. And look at this, Kanaan.
All over the rear of Briscoe.
He is on the prowl.
And keep in mind now that the pit problems today had Kanaan all the way at the back of the pack.
Yes, he did.
He had a pit penalty early on, and he's labored from the back of the pack, had some lousy pit stops because the refueling rig was not hooking up properly, and here he is in second spot with a chance to win this thing.
Well, the best thing Briscoe has going for him is he's getting through turns 13 and 14 very well. He gets through there and down this long straightaway extremely well. Looks like he's getting outbraked a little bit, but Kanaan cannot get a run on him. Kanaan's getting through the slow corners faster than Briscoe is, though. These very, very slow.
Well, let's see if we have a replay.
This corner.
Well, they're hooked up.
Oh, yeah. He got on top of him way back
there. I don't think that was braking.
No. Just looked like he got a little too close and got up on top of that left rear.
Well, you're right. It has been an expensive day for Roger Penske.
Well, point-wise, it's going to hurt them a lot, too. I mean, point-wise, they're going to be way behind the 8-ball compared to what they were before, because Hornish was leading the points. Now that the yellow
now they've gone full course yellow.
And look at Franchitti. All of a sudden, because of everything that's happened, he's back up in 4th spot. He started out in 12th. Franchitti has passed a lot of cars. He's also had a lot of luck with the guys falling out. Those two guys down there in turn 1 for two of them. Dixon spun. So he's had a lot of help, but now that he's right back in the fray.
So right now, under the 5th full course yellow of the day, you have Briscoe, the rookie, leading the veteran Kanaan. Weldon is 3rd, Franchitti 4th. So you have the Andretti Green teammates of Kanaan, Weldon, Franchitti running 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And Herta now is 5th. So Andretti Green has 4 of the top 5.
Geez, how unusual that is.
Matsura's missing a wing. They're missing parts as we get late in the race.
Yes, they are. Wow.
There's the wing missing on the Matsura car.
And that, of course, happened when he and Dixon got together. That was part of the pieces and parts we saw laying all over the racetrack.
Not quite as significant on this track as it would be like at Texas.
Well, no, but he's really going to have trouble. He's going to be very slow, especially in the faster corners without that wing. So it'll cost him a lot of ground on the racetrack.
The top 6 positions now occupied by either Andretti Green teammates or Target Ganassi.
Well, the Target Ganassi group has certainly made a huge comeback here today. They had 3 cars running in the top 5 at one time late in the race. Dixon had trouble there with Matsura and is now fallen back, but still they had a very, very good run here today, and they can be very happy about that.
And Briscoe started in 10th position. He's led a couple of times this afternoon. In fact, he's led 3 different occasions.
Well, he's definitely been the big surprise of the day. I mean, it was pit strategy that put him out front the first time. Well, it's put him up front all day long. But once he's been up front, he's not disappointed. He's been able to run. He's been able to maintain his position. Nobody's been able to pass him yet. But let me tell you, with Kanaan and Weldon and Franchitti right behind him, he's going to have a very, very tough last 10 laps of this race. And they're going to, you know, they're going to go after him. There's no question about that. The first thing he's got to do is figure out how to get a good restart so that they don't get him going into turn 1 on the restart.
Brake check.
Brake check. That's what he did the last time. I don't know what you call it in other parts of the world, but in the good old US of A, we call that a brake check, and that's exactly what he did.
Start to go, you hit the brakes, and you take off again.
Yep. He had everybody else jammed up behind him, and you know, he did a good job. He got off there.
Although the race directors kind of frown upon that type of restart.
Well, it's not exactly what they would recommend that you do. That's correct, but
it doesn't endear you with your fellow competitors.
Well, if you're leading the race, and you know, a young man like Briscoe, who's never had a victory in this kind of a circuit before, in this big a league of racing, it you know, anything goes, I think.
We're going to hear from Chip Ganassi. We'll hear from Kim Green, because those are the guys that have the top 6 drivers in this race.
The owner, as we said earlier, but he certainly has a knack for picking very talented drivers. Chip, you found Ryan in the offseason. What did you see in him?
Well, Jamie, he was one of these guys, young kid, a lot of Formula 3 and 3000 experience. He was driving for the Toyota Formula 1 team as a test driver, and so he's got that big horsepower experience that a lot of times you look for in this series.
Talk about the rolling of the dice you guys have been doing today, even messing with us with the tires and your fuel strategy. Tell us about that. It seems like it's so
far it's paying off. You know, like I said in the beginning, there's a lot of ways to run these road races, a lot of different strategies, and you know, the one we planned on today just happened to work out. The yellows fell the right way, and we have been in a good position here, you know, with 10 or so to go. So we'll see what happens.
All right, Chip Ganassi running up front. Dr. Punch is with the birthday boy, Kim Green.
Yeah, he's ready. Green pits. And Kim, you've got your series champion chasing their rookie. Can you handle him?
Well, you know, he's obviously a very, very good driver, and we've put Tony in some difficult situations, with an injury in the pits and a bad pit stop. So he's worked really hard, stayed focused. The guys have regathered themselves behind the pit wall, and we've done a great pit stop. We've got a good car. He knows what to do. Hopefully we can get a few more than just Tony past the red and white car in first position. But it's been a thrilling race for everybody, and what a great crowd.
Could be a nice birthday present for you too as well.
Be an awesome birthday present. Thank you.
By the way, Dario Franchitti just radioed Tony Kanaan and said you got to get Briscoe on cold tires. Let's check in now with Vince.
Well, that's interesting. Franchitti is telling Kanaan when to go for it. So
getting on cold tires.
Well, and that obviously means that obviously means on the first turn on the restart. So I think you'll see Kanaan pulling out all the stops, trying to pull that off. So they're going to get the green this time by. So we'll see.
9 laps. This will be the completion of lap 91, 100-lap race. I wonder if they've got the radios hooked up so the drivers can talk to each other.
I don't know, but they must have. We'll see if Briscoe is sharp enough. Uh-oh. Kanaan pulled around him right there. We'll see if he lets that rattle him a little bit.
Well, he did that about 2 laps ago, pulled alongside. Weldon almost pulled alongside Kanaan.
Well, you've got a veteran here messing with a rookie, so we'll see. We'll see. Oh, I think Kanaan got a good rerun. Good start. Good restart right there. I think Briscoe is going to have trouble keeping him back there. Oh! He's going to go to the high side. Well, Briscoe went to the bottom to try to keep him behind him, so he had to go to the high side. Now he's on the inside going, no, he didn't make it.
Did not make it.
What a terrific job.
That was a gutsy move, though, on the high side.
Briscoe did a great job. He moved down the racetrack. Now this
moved him over. He moved him over. That's blocking. That's just blocking right there, but he moved him over. He saw him coming.
He's certainly using up a lot of the racetrack, and I'm sure Tony Kanaan's not happy about that, but
making that car real wide.
Making it real wide. Right now, Tony Kanaan tried everything. He tried both sides right there on that restart in the first 2 or 3 corners.
But you know what? If the roles reversed, Tony do the same thing.
Well,
make that car real wide.
That's right. Here he comes again. He's to the inside.
Oh, no!
Briscoe. Exactly the same thing that happened with Manning. Exactly the same thing that happened with Manning, only Briscoe didn't make it this time.
Well, there you see the reaction of Chip Ganassi.
And
around Kanaan.
Well, these two guys were banging into each other. Weldon got around both of them.
Weldon leads for the first time this afternoon. No, second time this afternoon.
Wow.
Weldon led back on lap 62, took the lead.
Well, we'll see if Kanaan gives him a body slam like he has a couple other guys.
Now here's a replay of that contact between Kanaan and Briscoe.
Got down the inside.
Well, Briscoe had to know he was there and turned into it.
Yeah, he turned down. Kanaan seemed like he was up plenty far enough. He had a good run on him down there. Briscoe's on the brakes, and he just comes down and you know.
Knocks out the camera.
Yeah, knocked the camera out. No question about it.
Here it comes again.
It's not a place, I think the big thing is it's not a place you expect somebody to pass. And right there is why Kanaan got passed. He almost got in the tire barrier himself.
But this late in the race, you expect to be passed anywhere.
Well, and Kanaan had been trying to do everything he could.
Is that an engine going away?
That's, I think that's Yasukawa. Yeah, Matsura
back in 5th position. Well, look at this. You got Weldon up in front. He won the opener here in Florida. Weldon now lives in St. Petersburg, so we've all come to his house for a homecoming this weekend, and he can find himself in victory lane. He's got Kanaan, his teammate, right behind him, and Franchitti right behind them. So 1, 2, 3 is Andretti Green. Herta is 4, so all the top 4 positions. I don't think this has ever happened before that one team has finished with all 4 of their teammates in the top 4. No. And there's Michael.
No, I don't think so either. I think this would be...
And his son Marco won the Infinity Pro race earlier this afternoon.
He'll be moving to St. Petersburg himself.
Boy, oh boy, what a great day for Andretti Green. They're working on lap 94. They could take a 1, 2, 3, 4 sweep here this afternoon.
And agreed. Obviously, there's no localized yellow. They've gotten Briscoe's car off the racetrack. So
that's Barron out in front of him. That's Barron about to go a lap down. Barron back right now in 11th position. He will go a lap down. Let's see where they make the pass.
Weldon's going to try to get to the inside of him going into turn 1. Don't know whether he's going to make it or not. Yep.
Yeah, he gets by. Barron lets him go by.
Barron just gets out of the throttle and pulls out of the way.
Lets both of them go.
Very good sportsmanship on his part.
Let's see if he gets out of the way for Franchitti now.
Well, right now, I think Tony Kanaan's got his hands full. His teammate, once he got around him, seems to be running every bit as quick as Kanaan is. So it's going to be very difficult for Tony Kanaan to come up there and make that pass.
Well, in that this is the first road race for the IndyCar Series, it's a history-making event, but if it finishes as it's running right now, it would also be history-making with the top 4 the same team.
Yeah, certainly would.
We have seen teammates before run 1-2 at Indianapolis. Ari Lyondike and Scott Goodyear. Of course, you go all the way back to 1962 with Roger Ward and his teammate Lynn Sutton ran 1-2. Maury Rose and Bill Hollins run 1-2, but we've never had a 1, 2, 3, 4 finish.
And you can see that was Brian Herta. He's almost a full straightaway behind the 2 leaders. Franchitti has not been able to gain on the 2 leaders. He's back a couple of seconds from them and hasn't been able to close the gap. Kanaan, it looks like, is the only guy who might have any kind of a shot at all at getting around Dan Weldon.
Well, right now, Mira is in 5th position, but he is about 2.5 seconds behind Herta. So Herta right now with a 2.5 second advantage, riding in 4th spot with 5 laps to go.
Well, I'll tell you this, Kanaan does not look like a guy who has given up. He looks like a guy that still thinks he has a chance to win this race, as he's pulled right up on the back of Weldon in a couple of spots. And once again, he's very good in the braking areas and in the areas where the slower corners.
Well, remember the comment you made earlier that last year Kanaan was the champion contender and Weldon was the new kid?
Yep.
And you said this year his mindset's different. He thinks he's the champion. Well, he's driving like it now.
Well, he's driving like he wants to be the champion. There's no question about that. Look at Kanaan. Like here, oh, look at this. Weldon's got to pull over.
That's
Oh, that's the blocking. Earlier. That's right.
That's the blocking with
Briscoe.
That was Briscoe earlier, about 5 laps ago.
And that's what got him into trouble right there.
Yeah, this is the contact right now with Briscoe to put him out of the race.
Yeah.
Locks it up and just does touch the tire barrier.
Yeah. Well, you
back live now with 4 laps to go.
You got to give Briscoe all the credit in the world. He did everything he could do to win this race. I don't blame him one bit. There's Marco Andretti.
Marco, who won earlier today. Marco Andretti. His dad, of course, Michael. His granddad, Mario, is here as well. The entire Andretti clan here. And boy, what a great weekend this is going to be for that team.
Well, I guess. They took home everything but the icebox.
Well, they've won the pole position. They could finish 1, 2, 3, and 4. And they picked up the Infinity Pro win with Marco. And of course, the youngest Unser was also in that race, but he got tangled up in that first lap, first turn crash at the start.
And Tony Kanaan still trying to do something to make this thing. And look at Michael. I don't think he wants to see. I don't think he thinks he wants to see Kanaan get up there and battle for the lead. I think he's quite happy the way things are going. But Kanaan is not a guy who's given up yet. He's still up there trying to make something happen here to win this race. Because, you know, even though he was the champion last year, he thinks that he's, you know, he wants to maintain this #1 position on this team. Dan Weldon is challenging that right now, and he wants to maintain that #1 ranking on Andretti Green Racing.
You can see the gap between first and second. They'll come around a complete lap 98, giving us 2 laps to go. And you kind of wonder what Michael might be saying to his drivers right now.
Well, I don't think he's saying anything, but I think he's hoping that #1, Weldon does not make any kind of a mistake, because any kind of a slight error in Kanaan's going to be all over him in a hurry and try to make it to pass. So as long as he doesn't make a mistake, I don't think Kanaan is quick enough to get up there and challenge him. But any kind of a slight error, slips a little bit, misses a gear, there's going to be
that 1, 2, 3, 4 finish right now. Herta has all the muster he can handle from Mira, because Mira now has closed that 2.5 second gap down to just about 0.8 of a second. So there's going to be a battle for 4th position. So Andretti Green may get the top 3 positions, but may not get the top 4 suite.
Well, the other thing is Weldon, he's going to be pretty close on fuel. He may be.
He's gone 35 laps right now, so it'd be 37 laps.
Yeah,
that should be okay.
He should be okay, but
he should be able to make 38 with. But they've had. Well, 38 without any yellows, which should be okay.
But Herta's run 36 already, so he's going to have less fuel than anybody else. So maybe that's the reason he's slowed down a little bit.
Well, final lap.
Well, Michael knows right now.
Well, it's going to take a mistake on Weldon's part. It's Weldon's race to lose.
Kanaan actually made a mistake there about a lap ago, as he was trying so hard to get around Weldon to catch him. He got a little bit sideways back there in the back part of the course and cost himself 3 or 4 car lengths. So now he has no opportunity to win this race unless Weldon makes a huge error.
Well, Weldon began the season with a victory at Homestead. Comes back to Florida, to St. Petersburg, and is on his way to a victory here and a clean sweep for Andretti Green. As that last lap, Herta had about 0.7 of a second lead over Mira. So catching a driver is one thing, passing is something else. And again, he may be conserving some fuel, as you seem to indicate, as he comes onto the runway the last time. And there is the checkered flag, and Weldon takes the victory. Kanaan goes second. Where's Weldon going here? What Kanaan's going to, they're all stopping on this front straightaway. We've never seen this before either.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, this is just unbelievable. A history-making day here in St. Petersburg. And is Herta going to take 4th? Yes, Herta takes 4th. It's a clean sweep. Today's live coverage of the Indy St. Petersburg Grand Prix has been a presentation of ESPN in association with the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Join us in 4 weeks on Saturday, April 30th for live coverage of the Indy Japan 300 from Twin Ring Motegi. For Larry Rice, I'm Gary Lee. Thanks for joining us, and so long from St. Petersburg, Florida.